Marvel. Mutant Ability Check-in System. I can randomly gains a new superpowers. Chapter 41. Saturday on the Queen's streets was like an overturned pallet. An old lady in a mink coat walked her poodle, skateboarders whizzed by, and the aroma of roasted lamb from a Middle Eastern restaurant mixed with the sweet scent of popcorn from the subway entrance, weaving through the crowd. Lin Mo stood on the steps of the subway exit, clutching a gray baseball cap in his palm, Ted's old hat, still with some potato chip crumbs on the brim, which he was now using as a money-collecting tool. "Are you really going to do it?" Ted tugged at his hoodie sleeve, his eyes a mix of excitement and nervousness. "This is street performing. The police will fine you if they see you." He was still carrying a folding stool, which he had specifically bought at the hardware store yesterday, saying it was, for the audience, to look professional. Lin Mo took a deep breath and adjusted the bracelet on his wrist. The physical enhancement synchronization rate had already risen to 35%, dynamic vision and burst sprint were becoming more practiced, and even phasing ability, due to frequent recent practice, could precisely control the range of phasing, for example, only allowing his palm to pass through a wall while the rest of his body remained solid. "Let's try it." He clapped the hat onto the ground, stepped back 2 paces. "Anyway, the repair shop is closed today, might as well do something." Actually, he had other plans. Last week, he had to compensate a client for a new monitor, which nearly spent all the efficiency bonus Carlos had given him. If he didn't find a way to earn some extra money, he might not even be able to pay the rent for the underground room next month. More importantly, he wanted to try using his abilities, reasonably, in public, to see if he could find a way to earn money without revealing his identity. The first audience member was a young mother pushing a stroller, her baby crying and reaching for bubbles in the air. Lin Mo cleared his throat and pointed to the brick wall nearby. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to perform a small magic trick for you, phasing through a wall with my bare hands to retrieve an item." He deliberately lowered his voice, giving it a mysterious tone he'd learned from movies. The young mother stopped, arms crossed, watching the spectacle, a hint of, "This person must be crazy," suspicion on her lips. Ted quickly went over, chiming in, "My buddy here has real skill, he's not a shill." Lin Mo ignored Ted's superfluous comment, concentrating on activating his phasing ability. His palm slowly passed through the rough brick wall in the astonished gaze of the crowd, like plunging into a block of butter. He deliberately slowed his movements, letting his fingertips grope behind the wall for a moment, then suddenly pulled his hand back. In his hand was a withered yellow leaf, picked from the old locust tree on the other side of the wall. "Wow!" The baby in the stroller suddenly stopped crying, reaching out its small hand for the leaf. The young mother's eyes widened, and she subconsciously pulled out her wallet, took out a $5 bill, and bent down to place it in the hat on the ground. "That's amazing. Do another one." With the first audience member, more people quickly gathered. Office workers in suits, students with backpacks, and hot dog vendors all stopped, pointing and gesticulating at Lin Mo. "How did he do that? Is it a prop? Doesn't look like it. The wall is solid. Is it special effects?" Lin Mo smiled, deciding to increase the difficulty. He walked to a street lamp across the street, looking up at the lampshade more than 3 meters high. "Next, I will perform a standing high jump to touch the street lamp." "You're bluffing." A teenager in a basketball jersey sneered, "My brother is on the school team, and even he can't reach that high." Lin Mo didn't speak, just flexed his ankles. The power of physical enhancement flowed through his muscles, like warm water over a riverbed. He took a deep breath, slightly bent his knees, then pushed off with force. His body sprang up like a spring, easily clearing the teenager's head, his right hand precisely touching the edge of the lampshade, even tapping it lightly, producing a crisp, thud-thud sound. As he descended, he used dynamic vision to adjust his posture, landing steadily in place, not even a hair out of place. The onlookers instantly erupted in gasps, applause and whistles mixing together, surging like a tide. The teenager in the basketball jersey's mouth hung open, and the basketball in his hand thumped to the ground, rolling to Lin Mo's feet. "Chinese Kung Fu," someone shouted, immediately drawing a chorus of agreement. More banknotes were thrown into the hat, dollars, coins, and even a crumpled euro, jingling around the brim. Ted was busy handing out folding stools, constantly muttering, slow down, there's a seat for everyone, the next one is even more exciting." Lin Mo felt a little lightheaded. He hadn't expected such a good effect. Just 2 simple demonstrations of his abilities had attracted so much attention. He cleared his throat, preparing to perform the next, a combination of phasing and physical enhancement, to retrieve a can of Coke from a closed vending machine. Just then, a low, playful laugh came from the outer edge of the crowd. This kid is more agile than a circus monkey. Lin Mo's movements paused, his phasing ability almost losing control. That voice, it sounded familiar. He swept his dynamic vision towards the edge of the crowd, seeing a man in sunglasses leaning against a lamppost, holding a phone with the screen pointed at him, clearly recording a video. The man was casually dressed, carrying a black quiver in his arms, and although it was hidden under his trench coat, Lin Mo still recognized the iconic silhouette, Hawkeye, Clint Barton. Lin Mo's heart instantly leapt to his throat. Why was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent here? Was it a coincidence, or had he come specifically to monitor him? He remembered Coulson's previous warning, and his fingers subconsciously clenched, the coins in the hat jingling. What's wrong? Ted leaned over, following his gaze. That guy has been filming you, isn't he a reporter? Not a reporter. Lin Mo lowered his voice, feigning composure. Ignore him, keep performing. He knew he couldn't show weakness now. The more flustered he was, the easier it would be to be suspected. Taking a deep breath, Lin Mo walked to the vending machine, and under everyone's gaze, his palm phased through the glass door, precisely grasping a can of Coke. Then he pulled his hand back. The bottle even had cold water droplets on it, as if it had just been taken out of a freezer. Awesome. The teenager in the basketball jersey was the first to cheer, pulling out all the loose change from his wallet and tossing it into the hat. Hawkeye's laughter came again, this time a little closer. Good technique, but the props are too old. He put away his phone and turned to leave, but as he passed Lin Mo, he deliberately slowed down and said in a voice only the two of them could hear, "Be careful, not everyone is as easily fooled as the audience." Lin Mo's back was instantly drenched in cold sweat. He had indeed seen through him. Hawkeye not only recognized his abilities but was also warning him. S.H.I.E.L.D. had been watching him, and small actions like street performing couldn't escape their eyes. When the performance ended, the money in the hat had piled up into a small hill. Ted excitedly counted the banknotes, his fingers trembling. $237. Mo, we're rich. He suddenly leaned close to Lin Mo, a greedy glint in his eyes. I'm telling you, what's this? With your skills, you could definitely win big money in underground boxing matches. You could earn thousands in one fight. Don't be silly. Lin Mo frowned, snatched the money from the hat, and stuffed it into his hoodie pocket. There are many ways to make money, don't get involved in anything illegal. He remembered Hawkeye's words, feeling even more uneasy, and just wanted to leave this troublesome place quickly. What's illegal? Ted grumbled defiantly. Don't all those rich people watch this? My cousin fights in Brooklyn, and he can afford a car now. That's because they haven't encountered danger. Lin Mo pulled Ted along, not even bothering to pack up the folding stool. Do you know how many underground boxers come to a good end? Either they get their legs broken, or they're controlled by gangs, never able to turn their lives around. Ted wanted to argue, but Lin Mo's gaze scared him. He had never seen Lin Mo so serious, like a different person, the determination in his eyes making him swallow the rest of his words. The two hurried through the crowd, leaving behind the still discussing audience and scattered folding stools. At the corner, Lin Mo looked back. Hawkeye was gone, only the hot dog vendor was still pointing at the spot where they had been. Who was he, anyway? Ted finally couldn't help but ask, his voice still a little shaky. A troublesome person, Lin Mo said vaguely, quickening his pace. He just wanted to get home now, hide the money, and then carefully consider what Hawkeye's words meant. Was it a simple warning, or a signal that S.H.I.E.L.D. was about to take action? Passing the community bank, Lin Mo deposited most of the money, keeping only $50 on him. Ted watched him operate the ATM, then suddenly said, I'm sorry, Mo, I shouldn't have brought up underground boxing. His voice was a little low. I just really want to make money, want to go to Las Vegas sooner. Lin Mo smiled and patted his shoulder. I know. But making money takes time, you can't rush it. He pulled $20 from his pocket and gave it to Ted. Go buy 2 cans of beer, come to my underground room tonight, and we'll celebrate our first successful street performance. Ted's eyes immediately lit up. He took the money and ran towards the supermarket, his back light and quick like a fledgling bird. Lin Mo watched his retreating figure, and the unease in his heart gradually dissipated. Perhaps Hawkeye's appearance was just a coincidence, perhaps S.H.I.E.L.D. didn't want to move against him yet, After all, he was just a magician, performing on the streets, posing no threat. Back in the underground room, Lin Mo hid the remaining money in a tin box under his mattress, along with the money he had saved before. There was also a note in the box, which read, New Mexico Fund, and he had already saved almost half of it. He picked up the note, his fingers gently tracing the numbers on it, suddenly feeling a step closer to that desert with the hammer. The bracelet suddenly vibrated, and a new prompt popped up. Host detected using abilities reasonably in public, without causing widespread panic. Physical enhancement synchronization rate increased by 5%, currently 40%. Lin Mo's eyes lit up. So this could also increase the synchronization rate. He tried flexing his wrist, feeling his strength increase further, and could even clearly feel the vibration frequency of every water pipe in the underground room. Was this a new feature of dynamic vision? Mo, I bought beer. Ted's voice came from the doorway, interrupting his thoughts. The man was carrying 2 cans of chilled beer, an excited smile on his face. Oh, I ran into Peter at the supermarket earlier. He said Aunt May is making barbecue tomorrow, and she invited us over to eat. Sounds good. Lin Mo took the beer, pulled the tab, and the cold liquid slid down his throat, dispelling the irritation in his heart. The two sat on the ground, drinking beer and chatting. Ted was still excitedly planning their next street magic show, saying he wanted to make a cooler prop, like a box that could make people float. Lin Mo didn't interrupt him, just listened with a smile, occasionally nodding. He knew that Ted's dream, like his New Mexico Fund, was the driving force that kept them alive in this crazy world. As for Hawkeye's warning, Shield's surveillance, he would put them aside for now. At least for now, he had beer to drink, a friend to accompany him, newly earned US dollars, and the ability to add some fun to life with magic. That was enough. The moonlight outside the window shone through the transom, falling on the empty beer cans on the ground, reflecting a faint light. Lin Mo touched the bracelet on his wrist, 40% synchronization rate, like a steadily growing child, reminding him that he was getting stronger little by little. Perhaps, without waiting for New Mexico, without waiting for the next sign-in, he could find his own way of survival, using phasing ability to help old ladies grab eggs, using physical enhancement to perform magic on the streets, walking a normal yet stable path between superheroes and ordinary people. Thinking of this, Lin Mo couldn't help but smile, opened another can of beer, and clinked it with Ted's, making a crisp sound. The early spring evening wind carried a biting chill, swirling discarded paper from a trash can at the alley's entrance. Lin Mo, with his tool bag slung over his shoulder, took a shortcut through the old alleys of Queens. This path was 10 minutes shorter than the main street, but it was perpetually cluttered with discarded furniture, and 2 or 3 stray cats always huddled by the walls, their glowing green eyes shining in the dark like scattered glass beads. Just 3 more to go to afford the New Mexico fare. He felt the change in his pocket, the extra money he earned today helping Carlos move servers, the heavy coins pressing into his palm. His physical enhancement synchronization rate had already risen to 45%, and dynamic vision allowed him to clearly track the trajectory of every falling leaf in the alley. Even the rats scurrying in the wall cracks couldn't escape his eyes. As he passed the 3rd trash can, Lin Mo instinctively slowed his pace. This was the Stray Cats base camp. Last time Ted came to throw out trash, a lame black cat scratched his arm, leaving 3 faint scars that remain to this day. Be good, don't block the way, he whispered into the darkness, quietly tightening his grip on the tool bag strap, not out of fear, but fear of not controlling his strength and injuring them if a cat pounced. No sooner had he spoken than 3 black shadows suddenly darted from the wall, pouncing like arrows released from a bow. Leading them was an orange and white male cat with a missing ear, growling menacingly, its claws glinting in the moonlight. Following closely were 2 emaciated black cats, one on each side, flanking him and blocking Lin Mo's retreat. In the past, Lin Mo would have surely been scared and turned to run, perhaps even falling flat on his face. But now, the reaction speed of physical enhancement activated instantly. He almost instinctively sidestepped, his right leg retracting half a step like a spring, just avoiding the orange and white cat's pounce. The cat missed, rolled on the ground, and immediately righted itself to fight again, its fur puffed up like a fluffy ball. Hey, quite persistent, Lin Mo thought, a little exasperated. He could feel the power flowing through his muscles, like a coiled spring ready to unleash, but he didn't want to get serious with these stray cats. After all, they were just defending their territory, no different from an intruder like him. The second black cat spotted an opening and pounced at his ankle. Lin Mo bent down, his right hand shooting out like lightning, and just as the cat's claws were about to touch his pants, he firmly cradled its belly. The cat, probably not expecting to be caught, froze instantly, its green eyes wide and round, its tail stiff as a stick. Stop it, Lin Mo gently scratched the cat's chin, feeling its rough fur. The cat in his arms suddenly bristled, kicking its limbs wildly, its sharp claws raking fiercely across his arm. With a ripping sound, his hoodie sleeve was torn, revealing the skin underneath. Lin Mo's heart tightened, and he quickly put the cat down. The cat landed, bristled, and fled, joining the other two, crouching on a nearby trash heap, watching him warily, a threatening growl rumbling in its throat. He looked down at his arm, seeing only a few shallow white marks on his skin, not even drawing blood. After 2 seconds, even the white marks disappeared. What the? Lin Mo was stunned. What was going on? Those claws clearly scratched quite hard. In the past, he would have at least bled, but now not even his skin was broken. He suddenly remembered the previous alert from his wristband. In addition to strength and speed, physical enhancement also seemed to include basic defense enhancement. Could this be the thick-skinned effect? He tried scratching his arm with his fingernail, leaving only a faint red mark, lighter than a tickle. This ability is pretty good. Lin Mo couldn't help but smile. He used to worry about getting beaten up by hooligans, but now it seemed that ordinary punches and kicks probably couldn't even break his skin, let alone a stray cat's claws. Mo, who are you talking to? Ted's voice came from the alley entrance, accompanied by shuffling footsteps. He carried a plastic bag containing freshly bought fried chicken. The aroma of oil drifted on the wind, making the stray cats restless again, their low growls turning into urgent whines. Got cornered by cats, Lin Mo said, pointing at the 3 cats on the trash heap. Look, they just scratched me, but it didn't even break the skin. Ted only saw clearly when he got closer. Lin Mo's hoodie on his arm had a hole, but the skin underneath was as smooth as ever. He clicked his tongue in wonder, reaching out to poke Lin Mo's arm, which was hard like old leather. You're good, your skin is harder than mine. Last time that lame cat scratched me, I still have scars. He opened a small slit in the fried chicken bag and threw out a piece of chicken skin. Here, for you guys, don't bully my buddy. The stray cats hesitated, but the orange and white cat couldn't resist first, cautiously approaching to snatch the chicken skin. The other 2 followed, crowding around to eat. Ted took the opportunity to pull Lin Mo out of the alley. Come on, Aunt May's barbecue is getting cold. By the way, does this thick-skinned ability of yours count as a superpower? I guess so, Lin Mo said, touching the hole in his arm, still savoring the feeling from earlier. Physical enhancement actually had this hidden effect, which was a pleasant surprise. Even if he encountered hooligans being rough in the future, he could probably withstand a few blows and wouldn't have to rely on phasing through walls to escape every time. As they reached the alley entrance, they ran into old Martha walking Snowball. The fat cat saw Lin Mo, immediately broke free from its leash, and rubbed its head against his pant leg, its titanium alloy bell jingling. Fighting with cats again, Martha said, looking at Lin Mo's torn hoodie, annoyed. You're a grown man, still bickering with animals. I wasn't bickering, they started it, Lin Mo quickly explained, afraid the old lady would scold him again. I saw it all, Martha snorted, glancing into the alley where the stray cats were hiding behind the trash can, gnawing on chicken bones. Those cats were abandoned by that drunk who moved out a while ago. They're quite pitiful. Next time, don't stoop to their level. I have leftovers in my kitchen, you can take them to feed them tomorrow. Lin Mo paused, then nodded, okay. He suddenly felt that these stray cats were a bit like him, all marginalized people, struggling to survive in Queens, with no need for confrontation. At Aunt May's house, Peter was hunched over the dining table doing homework, his notebook open, filled with various cat sketches, with annotations like, speed, approximately 30 km/h, and claw force, approximately 5 kg. Brother Lin, you're here. The boy looked up, his glasses sliding down his nose. I just saw you being chased by stray cats, wasn't it exciting? How did you know? Lin Mo asked in surprise as he sat down. Aunt May had already placed the sizzling, oily barbecue on the table, its aroma instantly overpowering the cat smell on him. I watched from the window with my binoculars, Peter said, proudly shaking the binoculars in his hand. Your reaction was so fast. Faster than the spider I filmed last time. By the way, is your arm okay? I saw the cat scratch you. I'm fine, look. Lin Mo rolled up his sleeve, revealing his smooth arm. Not even a mark left. Wow, Peter's eyes widened like brass bells. He quickly wrote in his notebook, Brother Lin's physical enhancement side effect, skin defense increased, can resist ordinary cat claw attacks. He looked up at Lin Mo, his eyes gleaming with curiosity. If you train more, will you become invulnerable? Like Wolverine. What are you thinking? Aunt May smacked Peter on the back of his head, placing a piece of crispy, fragrant rib in Lin Mo's bowl. Eat your food. Lin, don't chat nonsense with this kid, he's always thinking of far-fetched things. Lin Mo smiled and took a bite of the rib. The meat juice burst in his mouth, mixed with Aunt May's special sauce, making him squint in pleasure. Ted had already devoured 2 pieces, mumbling with his mouth full, Mo, you should really enter that strongest man competition with this ability, you'd definitely win the championship. The prize money is like $10,000 US. No way, Lin Mo flatly refused. Last time I was doing a street performance, Hawkeye noticed me. If I enter a competition again, S.H.I.E.L.D. will probably send me an invitation letter. At the mention of Hawkeye, Ted paused, lowering his voice. Seriously, do you think he's still watching us? These past 2 days, I keep feeling a chill down my spine, like someone's watching. I don't know. Lin Mo glanced out the window. The long bench under the street lamp was empty, but he knew S.H.I.E.L.D.'s surveillance was never overt. Perhaps it was the hot dog vendor, or the old man at the shoe repair stall, or even the mailman who occasionally passed by. They were like shadows hidden in the dark, silently recording his every move. Don't worry, Aunt May suddenly said, adding a piece of potato to Ted's bowl. When the soldiers come, the generals will block them. When the water comes, the earth will cover it. If they really come, the people in this building aren't easy to bully. Martha's broom, my rolling pin, Peter's slingshot, plus your 2 abilities, are we still afraid of not driving away a few people in black suits? Lin Mo's heart suddenly warmed. Aunt May was always like this, seemingly carefree, but always able to reassure people at critical moments. He thought of his embarrassing chase by the stray cats earlier, of the bristling black cat in his arms, and suddenly felt that he, these cats, and the people in this building were all the same, ordinary, yet striving to live, protecting their small territory in their own way. After dinner, Lin Mo helped clear the dishes. Peter came over, saying mysteriously, Brother Lin, I found another effect of your physical enhancement. He pointed at Lin Mo's hoodie, which had been torn by the cat. Look, the outer hoodie is torn, but the t-shirt underneath isn't. That means your muscles can automatically cushion impact, just like a car's airbag. Lin Mo paused, then picked up his hoodie to examine it. Sure enough, the thick outer hoodie had a triangular tear, but the thin t-shirt underneath was perfectly intact, not even a loose thread. It's true, he said with a smile. With your observational skills, it's a shame if you don't become a scientist. I'm going to be a superhero consultant in the future. Peter puffed out his chest, his eyes shining. I'll help you analyze your abilities and design equipment. For example, I'll make you a cat claw-proof jacket, and a sonic emitter that attracts cats so they won't chase you anymore. Lin Mo was amused and ruffled Peter's hair. Okay, I'll look forward to your inventions. By the time he left Aunt May's house, night had deepened. Lin Mo deliberately detoured back to the small alley and indeed saw the leftovers Martha mentioned placed on the trash can. The 3 stray cats were happily eating with their heads down. Seeing him, they didn't bristle again, only cautiously lifted their heads. He leaned against the wall, watching the cat shadows in the moonlight, when his wristband suddenly vibrated, detected host's new understanding of physical enhancement. Synchronization rate increased by 3%, current 48%. Unlocked new effect. Impact cushioning reduces physical impact damage by 50%. Impact cushioning. Lin Mo smiled. So Peter's airbag effect earlier was real. He tried gently punching the wall with his fist and indeed didn't feel the usual pain. It was like hitting something through a thick layer of sponge. Footsteps echoed from the alley entrance. Ted staggered over, carrying an empty wine bottle. You're still here. I figured you'd come back. He placed the wine bottle on the ground, for the cats to use as a pillow. Lin Mo watched him place the wine bottle next to the leftovers and suddenly felt that this friend, who always loved to brag, actually had a gentle side. Let's go, time to sleep. The 2 walked side by side, their shadows stretched long by the streetlights. Ted suddenly said, Actually, being chased by cats is pretty good, at least it proves your superpower is really useful, doesn't it? Better than me, who can't even do magic tricks well. Your magic is great, Lin Mo said seriously. Last time at the Christmas market, when you made the turkey disappear, Martha laughed so hard her dentures almost fell out. Ted paused, then burst into laughter, his laughter echoing in the alley, startling the night birds from the eaves. Right, next time I'll do a magic trick for these cats, turn them into house cats, and find good homes for them. Lin Mo smiled and nodded, but in his heart, he was thinking that perhaps this was the meaning of superpowers, not for fighting, not for showing off, but when being chased by stray cats, being able to laugh and dodge, being able to catch a pouncing cat, and in ordinary days, having a little more confidence to deal with trouble, a little more possibility for warmth. He touched the wristband on his wrist. The synchronization rate was 48%, not far from 50%. He wondered what new ability would unlock then. Would he be able to run faster, or become even sturdier? Lin Mo suddenly felt a little anticipation, even a little anticipation for the next time he was chased by cats. The air conditioning on the long-distance bus was broken, and hot, diesel-scented air poured in, scattering Ted's snores. Lin Mo leaned against the scratched bus window, watching the desert rapidly receding outside. The sand dunes, like gold melted by the sun, stretched in undulating waves to the horizon. The wristband on his wrist was slightly warm, its screen occasionally glowing with a faint blue light, as if responding to something. 2 more hours to Pepper Town. The driver yelled, sharply turning the steering wheel, almost throwing Ted from his seat. The man woke with a start, drool at the corner of his mouth, blinking in confusion. Are we in Las Vegas? Lin Mo smiled, handing him a bottle of water. We're almost at Pepper Town, your cousin's gas station is just ahead. He unscrewed his own bottle cap and took a large gulp. The ice-cold mineral water flowed down his throat into his stomach, yet it couldn't suppress the heat in his heart, not because of the weather, but because of the increasingly strong vibrations from his wristband. This was their second day on the road. When they left Queens, Martha stuffed half a bag of cookies into Lin Mo's bag, Aunt May gave him a thermos filled with warm braised eggs, and Peter secretly slipped him a hand-drawn map with approximate hammer location circled in red. When Carlos approved his leave, he stared at Lin Mo's arm for a long time, then dropped a line, "Don't cause trouble, or I'll dock your pay when you get back." Finally going to see the legendary hammer. Ted rubbed his hands, excitedly looking out the window. You think that thing is really that magical? Tanks can't even move it. My cousin said a truck driver didn't believe it a while ago and tried to pull it out with chains, but the chains broke, and the truck bed was ripped off. Lin Mo didn't respond, only touched his wristband. Since entering New Mexico, the wristband's vibration hadn't stopped, and prompts kept appearing on the screen. High-intensity Asgardian energy field detected, energy source, approximately 10 kilometers away, suggestion, maintain a safe distance. He knew what it was. The information Peter had compiled stated that the hammer was called Mjolnir, Thor's weapon, and only those deemed worthy could lift it. S.H.I.E.L.D. had set up an inescapable net around it, Coulson himself was on site, and even Hawkeye had been dispatched. All of this indicated that this hammer was far more than just a metal object fallen from the sky. As the car drove into Pepper Town, the sun was directly overhead, baking the asphalt road until it sizzled with heat. The town was even smaller than he imagined, with only one main street lined with low-slung bungalows. Most shops were closed, except for a small bar with a "Hammer Bar" sign, where a few beer-drinking cowboys gathered at the entrance, pointing and gesturing towards the distant desert. Is that the blockade? Ted pointed to the barbed wire fence at the edge of the town, which had "No Entry" warning signs hanging on it. Several soldiers in camouflage uniforms patrolled with guns, and in the distance, a white mobile laboratory could be seen, its body emblazoned with the S.H.I.E.L.D. logo. Lin Mo's heart skipped a beat. It was more stringent than he had imagined. The soldiers' equipment looked very advanced. They weren't carrying ordinary pistols on their waists, but something similar to energy weapons, much like the S.H.I.E.L.D. parts he had repaired before. Let's go to your cousin's gas station first. Lin Mo pulled Ted towards the town, deliberately avoiding the soldiers' gaze. Dynamic vision allowed him to clearly see the location of every surveillance camera, easily bypassing the hidden probes. The gas station was at the other end of the town, its red canopy crooked, the gas pumps covered in thick dust, clearly indicating slow business. A bearded man was dozing at the cash register, but he looked up at the sound, his eyes lighting up when he saw Ted. Ted. What are you doing here? Cousin. Ted excitedly rushed over and gave the man a hug. I brought you specialties from New York. He pulled out half a bag of moldy cookies from his bag, which Martha had forced on him. This is Lin Mo, my friend. He came with me to see the desert scenery. The bearded man scrutinized Lin Mo, a hint of wariness in his eyes, until Ted secretly whispered, he's the one who does magic. Then he smiled. I'm Dale, make yourselves at home, fill up your tanks, it's on me. The gas station's lounge was small, with only a cot and an old television, which was replaying news about the hammer. A reporter, holding a microphone, stood outside the barbed wire fence, excitedly telling the camera. This mysterious hammer has attracted curious people from all over the world, but no one has been able to move it an inch to this day. Eyewitnesses claim that last night, a blond man tried to lift the hammer and was subsequently taken away by SHIELD personnel. That's the lunatic, Dale suddenly interjected, spitting on the ground. He yells, that's my hammer, outside the blockade every day, his voice as loud as thunder, keeping me from sleeping. He pointed to the blond man who flashed across the TV screen. There he is. I heard SHIELD keeps arresting him and releasing him, then arresting him again, like walking a dog. Lin Mo's gaze fell on the blond man's face on the screen, a chiseled jaw, blue eyes like glaciers, and even surrounded by soldiers, he stood with his chest out, like a proud lion. Was this Thor? He looked very similar to his comic book counterpart, just without the iconic red cape. I'm going to buy a bottle of water. Lin Mo stood up, pretending to head to the convenience store, but actually wanting to get closer to the blockade to observe. Dale didn't suspect anything, only cautioning, don't get too close to those men in black, they're very fierce. The closer he got to the blockade, the more violently the wristband vibrated, like a bee frantically flapping its wings beneath his skin. Lin Mo hid behind an abandoned barn, observing with dynamic vision. Beyond the barbed wire was an open desert, and in the very center, a simply styled hammer was stuck in a rock. The hammerhead was carved with intricate patterns, gleaming with a dark golden light in the sun, and even from hundreds of meters away, he could feel its immense energy. A dozen SHIELD agents surrounded the hammer, some scanning with instruments, others setting up more surveillance equipment. Coulson stood at the forefront, wearing a black trench coat, holding a tablet computer, his brow furrowed, looking at something unknown. Suddenly, the crowd stirred. The blond man, Thor, had reappeared outside the blockade at some point and was arguing with an agent wearing glasses, his voice loud enough for Lin Mo to hear even from behind the barn. That's my hammer. You mortals have no right to guard it. Sir, please leave, or we will take coercive measures. The bespectacled agent said expressionlessly. His walkie-talkie beeped, and immediately more soldiers surrounded them. Coercive measures, Thor sneered, then suddenly exerted force, pushing away the soldiers in front of him and charging towards the barbed wire. His speed was astonishing, the soldiers didn't even have time to react, only watching as he crashed into the barbed wire. With a clang, the sturdy barbed wire was actually torn open, creating a large hole. My God! Lin Mo covered his mouth, almost crying out. Was this the strength of an Asgardian? It was more than just one level stronger than his physical enhancement. Thor rushed into the blockade, heading straight for the hammer on the rock. Coulson's face changed, and he shouted something into his walkie-talkie. Distant helicopters immediately started, their rotors roar shaking the ground. Just as Thor's hand was about to grasp the hammer's handle, something strange happened. He was repelled as if by an invisible force, falling to the ground with a thud, unable to get up for a long time. The hammer remained stuck in the rock, motionless, as if mocking his overestimation of his own strength. What's going on? Lin Mo frowned. Didn't they say only those deemed worthy could lift it? Why was Thor also repelled? The wristband suddenly vibrated intensely, and the text on the screen became distorted. Odin force suppression detected. Energy conflict. Suggest immediate evacuation. Odin force. Lin Mo's heart pounded. Was it Odin's punishment for Thor? So he couldn't lift his own hammer yet. Thor struggled to his feet, looking at the hammer with resentment, his eyes filled with anger and confusion. The soldiers seized the opportunity to rush forward, handcuffing him with special restraints and escorting him towards the mobile laboratory. As he passed Coulson, he glared fiercely. You will regret this. Lin Mo was mesmerized until Ted's voice sounded behind him. Mo. What are you doing here? Cousin said he's treating us to barbecue. He jumped, quickly turning around. Nothing, just looking at the scenery. What's so good about the scenery? Ted pointed to the distant hammer, his eyes shining. Is that the legendary hammer? It doesn't look special at all, pretty much like the wrench in my toolbox. Lin Mo followed his gaze. The hammer still emitted a dark golden light in the sun, but now, in his eyes, it was no longer an ordinary piece of metal, but a divine artifact containing immense energy, a bridge connecting Earth and Asgard. Let's go, back for barbecue. Lin Mo pulled Ted towards the gas station, his mind in a turmoil. Thor's appearance, the hammer's energy, Shield's tight control, and the wristband's abnormal reaction, all of it indicated that the peaceful days were about to end. Back at the gas station, Dale had already set up the barbecue grill. Fatty and lean beef sizzled on the charcoal, its aroma wafting far and wide. Try my local specialty. He handed Lin Mo a skewer of grilled meat, much better than those lousy hot dogs in New York. Lin Mo took a bite. The juice burst in his mouth, with a faint smoky flavor, indeed better than the frozen barbecue bought from the supermarket. Ted had already devoured 2 skewers, mumbling indistinctly, "Cousin, your barbecue is so good, why don't you hire more people?" Hire people? Dale gave a bitter laugh. Ever since that hammer fell, half the townspeople left. The rest are either hired by S.H.I.E.L.D. to work or just hover around the hammer all day. Who comes for gas anymore? He pointed to the distant blockade. Those men in black, they seem polite, but they're very overbearing. Last time I tried to bring them some water, they sent me back. Lin Mo's heart sank. Shield's control was tighter than he had imagined. It seemed getting close to the hammer would be harder than ascending to heaven. That night, they slept in the gas station's lounge. Ted fell asleep as soon as he hit the cot, his snores shaking the camp bed. Lin Mo, however, tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Although the wristband's vibration had weakened, the subtle sense of resonance remained, like a thread, one end tied to his wrist, the other to the distant hammer. He quietly got up and went outside. The desert night was cold, and the wind howled over the dunes, making a weeping sound. The distant blockade was lit by searchlights, their beams sweeping across the night sky like a vigilant eye. Lin Mo activated his phasing ability, his body instantly becoming translucent. He decided to take a risk and go see, even if just to feel the energy up close. Physical enhancement made his steps light, almost inaudible on the sand, while dynamic vision helped him avoid all surveillance cameras and patrolling soldiers. The closer he got to the hammer, the stronger the wristband's resonance, even feeling the energy flowing through his body, like warm water permeating his limbs. He hid behind a huge rock, looking at the hammer stuck in the rock. In the moonlight, its patterns seemed to come alive, flowing with a faint golden light. Suddenly, the hammer vibrated gently, emitting a low hum. Lin Mo's wristband also vibrated, and a new prompt appeared on the screen: energy resonance intensity 70%. Unknown energy source detected in host body. Synchronizing. Unknown energy source. Lin Mo was stunned. Was it referring to his status as a transmigrator? Or the power of the wristband itself? Just then, a low voice sounded behind him. "Who are you?" Lin Mo was scared out of his wits, turning sharply to see Thor standing there, his blue eyes astonishingly bright in the darkness. He didn't know how this Asgardian prince had broken free from his handcuffs, nor when he had noticed him. I'm a tourist." Lin Mo feigned calmness, his palms sweating. Both physical enhancement and phasing ability were on standby, ready to escape at any moment. He didn't want to fight Thor. Thor stared at his wrist, his brows furrowed. "You have its aura on you." He pointed to the distant hammer. "You can feel it, can't you?" Lin Mo's heart pounded. How did he know? Could Asgardians perceive this resonance? "I don't know what you're talking about." Lin Mo took a step back, ready to run. Thor, however, smiled, and there was no hostility in that smile, only a knowing relief. "It doesn't matter. When you can lift it, you will naturally understand." He turned to look at the hammer, his eyes filled with complex emotions. "My father said, only the most worthy can wield its power." Perhaps he wasn't talking about me. Lin Mo looked at his back, suddenly feeling that this high and mighty prince was, in fact, just like him, searching for something. "Hurry and leave." Thor looked back at him. "Those men in black are coming soon." Lin Mo nodded, turned, and activated his phasing ability, silently disappearing into the night. When he returned to the gas station, the eastern sky was already turning white with dawn, and Ted was still sound asleep, his drool soaking half the pillow. Lin Mo lay on the bed, looking at the prompt on his wristband. Energy resonance interrupted. Synchronization rate 30%. Please host continued to approach the energy source to complete synchronization. He knew that his fate with this hammer had just begun. Early the next morning, they got on the return bus. Ted was still complaining about not seeing the hammer up close, but Lin Mo wasn't in the mood to listen to him ramble. He just watched the desert outside the window gradually recede, a premonition in his heart. It wouldn't be long before he would return here. The wristband vibrated gently on his wrist, as if responding to his thoughts. Lin Mo clenched his fist, feeling the residual energy within him, and suddenly felt that the desert of New Mexico made him feel more alive than the alleys of Queens. Perhaps, this was the meaning of his transmigration to this world, not just to protect the ordinary in Queens, but also to encounter these extraordinary beings, to understand his connection to this world. As the car drove away from Pepper Town, Lin Mo took one last look at the distant blockade. The mysterious hammer was still stuck in the rock, like a silent vow, awaiting the day it would be awakened. The desert's hot wind, laden with grit, crackled against the makeshift canvas tents. Lin Mo squatted in front of the job recruitment point in Pepper Town, staring at the crumpled job advertisement in his hand. SHIELD's logistics department was hiring temporary workers to move equipment, with a daily wage of $150 and 2 meals provided. Are you crazy? Ted whispered in his ear, his iced cola almost crushed in his hand. That's S.H.I.E.L.D. If they recognize you as the wall-walking hero from Queens, they'll slice you up for sure. Lin Mo didn't speak, just stared at the address on the job advertisement. It was inside the blockade, in the logistics area, less than a kilometer from the rocky area where the hammer was located. This was his only chance to get close to the hammer. If he missed it, he didn't know how long he would have to wait. Don't worry, he folded the advertisement and tucked it into his pocket. They're hiring movers, not agents. Who's going to notice someone moving boxes? But your strength. Ted's words were cut short by a look from Lin Mo. After returning from near the hammer last night, Lin Mo hadn't slept a wink. The energy resonance alert on his bracelet kept flashing, and synchronization rate, 30%, was like a thorn in his heart. He knew that merely observing stealthily would never clarify the connection between his bracelet and the hammer. He had to find a legitimate reason to cross that blockade. At the registration desk of the recruitment point, a middle-aged man in uniform was checking a list, his ID badge reading, Logistics Supervisor Wesley. He looked up, sizing up Lin Mo with a scrutinizing gaze. Ever done manual labor before? I moved servers in New York. Lin Mo tried to make his voice sound simple and honest, deliberately hunching his shoulders. Physical enhancement had made his muscles much more defined than before, so he had to hide it a bit. Wesley raised an eyebrow and pointed to a metal box about half a person tall nearby. Move that to warehouse number 3, if you can do it, you're hired. The box looked heavy, with precision instrument, handle with care, printed on its surface, and 2 burly men nearby were struggling to lift it, their faces red with exertion. Lin Mo walked over, and to their astonished gazes, he grabbed the box handle with one hand and lifted it gently. The box came up like an empty cardboard box. Holy shit, one of the burly men couldn't help but curse. Wesley's eyes lit up too, and he quickly wrote something on the registration form. Name: Lin Mo. Age: 24. Where did you work before? Queens, Carlos's repair shop. Lin Mo gave a real address, which made him less likely to arouse suspicion. Wesley nodded and handed him a temporary pass. Wear this, you can only move around in the logistics area. Don't wander off, or I'll send you straight to the police station. Lin Mo took the pass. His photo was printed on the plastic card, with temporary mover, number 734 inches in small print next to it. He turned and winked at Ted. See you tonight. Ted was still in a daze, watching Lin Mo follow Wesley into the blockade, not even noticing the cola dripping onto the ground from his hand. The logistics area was busier than he expected. Dozens of white tents were neatly arranged, cables snaked across the ground like snakes, and technicians in blue overalls hurried past, pushing equipment, muttering, energy readings are fluctuating again, and the reactor cooling system needs maintenance. Lin Mo followed an old worker named Dave to the equipment storage area, where boxes were piled like small mountains, most bearing the S.H.I.E.L.D. logo, some even with red, top secret, seals. New here. Dave was a bald old man with a thick Texas accent. First time in a place like this. Yeah, I used to move servers in New York. Linmo took the gloves Dave handed him. They were thick rubber, cut resistant. Then you're lucky. Dave pointed to the white tent in the distance. I heard there are alien things inside. We'll never see them in our lives. He lowered his voice, but it's dangerous too. Last week, some kid got curious and tried to peek into a box, and two men in black suits took him away, and he never came back. Lin Mo's heart stirred. He pretended to adjust his gloves. What's in those boxes? Who knows? Dave shrugged and hoisted a small box. Could be weapons, could be parts. We get paid to work. Don't ask too many questions. Lin Mo didn't press further, bending down to carry 3 stacked parts boxes. The boxes combined weighed at least 200 kilograms, but to him now, they felt as light as foam. He deliberately walked steadily, his pace neither fast nor slow, just slightly faster than an ordinary worker, enough to complete his workload without being too conspicuous. As he passed a blue tent, Lin Mo's bracelet suddenly vibrated, and the alert, Tesseract energy residue detected, flashed across. He glanced out of the corner of his eye. The tent flap wasn't fully closed, and he could vaguely see several silver metal tubes inside, similar in material to the shield parts he had repaired before. New guy, hurry up. Wesley's voice came from behind, a folder in his hand. Move these sensors to the monitoring station. Agent Coulson is waiting for them. Lin Mo's heart tightened. He quickly responded, coming. Coulson was here too. He steadied himself, hoisted the box of sensors, and followed Wesley toward the monitoring station. On the way, he encountered many agents in black suits, all staring at him expressionlessly, as if evaluating this suddenly appearing strongman. The monitoring station was a semi-underground bunker, with 2 armed guards at the entrance who only let them pass after seeing Wesley. It was much cooler inside the bunker than outside. The walls were covered with screens displaying energy distribution maps around the hammer, green ripples rising and falling like heartbeats. A dozen technicians gathered around a long table, and Coulson stood at the table, talking to a woman wearing glasses while pointing at a screen. Agent Coulson, the sensors are here. Wesley gave a less than standard salute. Coulson turned his head, his gaze lingering on Lin Mo for a moment, a flicker of surprise in his eyes, which then returned to calm, as if he were just looking at an ordinary temporary worker. Put them down. His voice was flat, devoid of emotion. Lin Mo placed the box on the ground, deliberately rubbing his finger along the edge of the box. There was a small mark he had made there, a code he had left when repairing a shield hard drive last time, understandable only to him and Carlos. Coulson's gaze swept over the mark, and the corner of his mouth twitched almost imperceptibly. Good work. Coulson suddenly took a bottle of water from a nearby cooler and handed it over, water droplets still clinging to the bottle. Lin Mo was startled for a moment. His fingertips accidentally brushed Coulson's hand as he took the water, and both quickly withdrew their hands. My pleasure, officer. He deliberately used the respectful address, but his eyes were fixed on the energy map on the screen. The hammer's energy core was golden, surrounded by a blue halo, surprisingly similar to the bracelet's fluctuation frequency. Seen enough. Coulson's voice held a hint of amusement. Lin Mo's face instantly flushed. He quickly lowered his head. I'm sorry, officer, I didn't mean to. It's fine. Coulson turned to the technicians and said, continue monitoring, then told Lin Mo, come with me. The two walked out of the monitoring station and stood in the shadow of a canvas tent. The desert sun was fierce, casting short shadows of the two. Business not good at the repair shop in Queens. Coulson suddenly spoke, fiddling with a metal lighter engraved with the shield logo. It's all right. Lin Mo unscrewed the cap and took a gulp of ice water. The cold liquid calmed him down a bit. Just wanted to see the world and earn some extra cash. What's so good to see in Pepper Town? Coulson's gaze fell on the rocky area in the distance. Besides sand and a hammer that no one can lift. Here it comes. Lin Mo's heart pounded. He decided to risk a probe. That hammer, is it really from outer space? I heard people in town say it can cause lightning and even move on its own. Coulson smiled, a smile identical to the one he had given at the repair shop last time, gentle yet sharp. Maybe I'll tell you when you're a bit older. He put the lighter back in his pocket. Keep up the good work. Wesley says you're very capable, worth 3 people. Lin Mo didn't respond. He knew Coulson saw through his act but didn't expose him, which in itself was a statement. Perhaps S.H.I.E.L.D. also wanted to see what this temporary worker, who could resonate with the hammer was really up to. While moving reactor parts in the afternoon, Linmo deliberately slowed down. These parts were heavier than the ones from the morning and had a low temperature, as if they had just been taken out of a freezer. Dave and the other workers were sweating profusely, but he remained calm, only a little sweat beading on his forehead, perfectly fitting the persona of a strong man who still gets tired. "What did you eat growing up, kid?" Dave handed him a towel. "When I was your age, I'd be bent over after moving half a box. My family runs a martial arts school. I've been training my strength since I was little." Linmo made up a lie, but in his mind, he was calculating, the straight line distance from here to the rocky area where the hammer was located was only 800 meters. If he used explosive force to sprint, he could get there in about 15 seconds. But he didn't dare. There were at least 10 surveillance cameras around, plus hidden sensors. If he activated his abilities, he would be discovered immediately. The bracelet suddenly vibrated violently, and a dazzling red alert popped up on the screen. "Warning. Frost giant energy detected, 10 kilometers away." Linmo's hand trembled, almost dropping the parts box he was holding. Frost giant, how could they be here? Are they after the hammer? He subconsciously looked towards the monitoring station, where a piercing alarm suddenly blared, and red warning lights flashed wildly on the tent tops. Technicians scrambled out, shouting into their walkie-talkies, unknown targets appearing in the northwest. Strong energy signatures. "Everyone back to your posts." Wesley's voice came over the broadcast, with an unprecedented tension. "Agent forces prepared to intercept." "Repeat, agent forces prepared to intercept." Linmo's heart sank to the bottom. Something bad was going to happen. He looked at the distant sky. The previously clear afternoon suddenly turned gloomy, and sandstorms swirled, like a giant gray dragon circling on the horizon. "What is that?" Dave pointed at the sky, his voice trembling. Linmo didn't speak. His dynamic vision caught several blurry dark figures diving down from the clouds, moving as fast as cannonballs. They were frost giant aircraft. "Quick, hide." Linmo pulled Dave and ran towards the nearest tent. His physical enhancement automatically activated at this moment, allowing him to run incredibly fast even while pulling an adult, easily dodging a metal frame that was blown away by an aircraft's impact. In the chaos, he saw Coulson standing at the entrance of the monitoring station, holding a walkie-talkie, gesticulating at the sky. Hawkeye Barton stood beside him, already knocking an arrow, its tip glowing with a blue light, a specialized energy arrow. "Hold the monitoring station." Coulson's voice came through the broadcast. "Don't let them get near the hammer." Linmo hid behind a tent, watching the agents fire their guns, energy beams drawing bright lines across the sky. The frost giant aircraft were agile, dodging most attacks, and occasionally firing ice picks that exploded into a white mist on the ground, instantly freezing anything they touched. "I need to find a way to get close to the hammer." Linmo gritted his teeth. The appearance of the frost giants confirmed his suspicion. Asgard's troubles had spread to Earth, and if he didn't figure out the connection between the bracelet and the hammer now, he might not get another chance. Taking advantage of the chaos, he activated his phasing ability, and his body instantly became translucent. Everyone around him was dodging attacks. No one noticed the suddenly disappearing porter. Linmo moved quickly along the ground, his dynamic vision helping him avoid all the explosions and falling rocks, weaving through the chaos like an eel. The closer he got to the rock zone, the more violently the bracelet vibrated. The energy resonance strength 80% alert almost burst the screen. Shield. Agents around the hammer were engaging the landing frost giants, blue energy beams and white ice picks intertwining in the air above the rocks, emitting a harsh sound. A frost giant raised an ice axe and swung it at the rock where the hammer was, seemingly trying to destroy it. Linmo's heart leapt. Without thinking, he rushed forward, activating his burst of speed to sprint, his speed instantly increasing to 8 times that of a normal person. Just as the ice axe was about to hit the rock, Linmo arrived. He didn't attack the frost giant but used all his strength to grab the handle of the ice axe. The power of physical enhancement was maximized at this moment, his muscles bulging, even his blood vessels throbbing under his skin. The frost giant was stunned, clearly not expecting this mortal to block his attack. He roared, increased his strength, and a bone-chilling cold condensed on the ice axe. Linmo's gloves instantly froze, and his fingers lost all sensation. "Get off!" the frost giant roared, pressing the ice axe down fiercely. Linmo's knees were trembling, His arms were almost frozen, but he gritted his teeth. He could feel the resonance between the bracelet and the hammer reaching its peak, golden energy flowing into his body along his arm, counteracting the frost giant's cold. Now, a familiar voice sounded behind him. Lin Mo instinctively dodged to the side. Thor, who had somehow broken free, held a makeshift iron sword and swung it at the frost giant's leg. The Asgardian's strength was clearly greater than the frost giant's. Although the iron sword was ordinary, it caused the opponent to stumble backward. During this interval, Lin Mo looked at the hammer again. It vibrated slightly, enveloped in golden energy, and the patterns on the hammer's handle seemed to come alive, as if calling to him. Lin Mo's heart pounded like a drum. He reached out, his fingertips just a few centimeters from the hammer's handle. "Watch out!" Coulson's voice suddenly rang out. Lin Mo turned his head sharply and saw a frost giant throwing an ice pick at him. He tried to dodge but found his body firmly held by the energy resonance, unable to move. Just as the ice pick was about to hit him, a blue energy arrow accurately struck the ice pick, shattering it in midair. It was Hawkeye. "Why aren't you running?" Barton's voice came from a distance, a second arrow already knocked. Lin Mo finally came to his senses, activated his phasing ability, and turned to run. He dared not linger. The momentary resonance had made him dizzy, like he had drunk 3 bottles of whiskey. By the time he returned to the logistics area, the battle was nearing its end. 2 frost giant aircraft had been shot down, and the remaining ones began to retreat. The sky cleared again, leaving only a few wisps of black smoke. Agents were clearing the battlefield, and Wesley, pale-faced, was calling out names to count personnel. "Where did you go?" Dave saw Lin Mo and quickly pulled him. "I was looking for you everywhere just now. I thought you'd been taken by aliens." "I hid behind a box." Lin Mo's heart hadn't calmed down yet, and the bracelet on his wrist was incredibly hot. The alerts, energy resonance strength 90%. Synchronization interrupted. Host physical exhaustion, flashed continuously. Coulson walked over, his trench coat a little dusty, but a smile on his lips. "Looks like you're lucky, no injuries." "Thanks to you, officer." Lin Mo lowered his head, not daring to look him in the eyes. He knew his actions just now must have been caught on surveillance. "Today's pay." Coulson handed him an envelope, much thicker than usual. "Wesley said you performed well and gave you a bonus." He paused, lowering his voice. "The frost giants are just the beginning, there will be more trouble later. Don't come back to the Queen's repair shop for now." Lin Mo's hand trembled violently, almost dropping the envelope. Was this a warning? Or protection? "Pack your things." Coulson turned and left, not looking back. "A car has been arranged to take you back to town." Lin Mo clutched the envelope, standing still, watching agents carry injured comrades onto ambulances, watching technicians reseal the rock zone, watching Thor being escorted onto a helicopter by 2 agents. His face no longer showed the previous anger, but rather a thoughtful calm. Ted was waiting for him at the hiring point. Seeing him come out, he quickly ran over. "Are you okay? I heard there was a fight just now. I was scared to death." "I'm fine." Lin Mo handed him the envelope. "Pay, more than I expected." "Really?" Ted opened the envelope, his eyes instantly lighting up. "This much? Enough for us to go to Las Vegas for 2 days." Lin Mo smiled, saying nothing. He looked up at the distant rock zone. The hammer was still embedded there, like a silent giant. The alerts on the bracelet had returned to normal. Only the words, "Energy resonance synchronization rate 90%, stood out on the light blue screen. He knew Coulson's meaning was clear. He had been listed as a key observation target by S.H.I.E.L.D., and he couldn't return to Queens for now. But he didn't regret it. That momentary resonance had confirmed one thing for him. There must be some deep connection between the bracelet and the hammer, perhaps related to the reason for his transmigration. As he got into the car heading back to town, Lin Mo took one last look at S.H.I.E.L.D.'s blockade. In the sunlight, the white tents and busy figures looked like a giant hive, harboring countless secrets. And he, this small person who once only wanted to guard his repair shop, had been drawn into the center of this secret. Where to next? Ted's voice was excited, clearly still not over the joy of making a fortune. Lin Mo looked at the fleeting sand dunes outside the window and suddenly smiled. "To Las Vegas." Ted's eyes instantly widened like brass bells. "Really? Really?" Lin Mo leaned back in his seat and closed his eyes. He needed time to recover his strength, and he also needed time to think. The appearance of the frost giants meant that Asgard's war had spread to Earth, and Thor's awakening was only a matter of time. And he, before that, had to figure out the secret of the bracelet, and figure out who he really was. The desert outside the car window glowed golden in the setting sun, like an endless ocean. Lin Mo touched the bracelet on his wrist. It had returned to calm, as if accumulating strength, waiting for the next resonance to arrive. The old air conditioner in the small-town hotel hummed, filling the room with a damp, musty smell. Lin Mo lay on the creaking wooden bed, staring at the yellow water stain on the ceiling. It was shaped like an eagle with spread wings, somewhat similar to the emblem on Hawkeye's quiver. Ted snored loudly on the next bed, still clutching a half-eaten piece of beef jerky in his hand, probably dreaming of his cousin Dale's barbecue. Outside the window, the wind carried grains of sand, hitting the glass with a shush sound, like someone gently scraping it with their fingernails. Lin Mo rolled over, picked up the remote control, and turned on the TV. The screen was full of static, and it took him a while to find a clear channel that was broadcasting local news. At 3 p.m. this afternoon, police in Peppertown's Main Street arrested a blonde man suspected of assaulting an officer. According to witnesses, the man attempted to break into a shield cordon, and after being refused, he clashed with patrol police, punching a hole through the police car door. Thor's photo appeared on the screen, his blonde hair messy against his face, his blue eyes full of anger, his hands cuffed with special restraints, yet he still struggled relentlessly. Lin Mo's heart skipped a beat, and the bracelet on his wrist vibrated gently, detected Asgardian royal energy fluctuation, medium intensity, in a suppressed state. This idiot, Lin Mo couldn't help but curse under his breath. He had seen Thor standing next to his hammer just last night, his eyes full of unwillingness, and he hadn't expected him to end up at the police station just a day later. With his volatile temper, he certainly wouldn't be well behaved in a jail cell. He might be breaking iron bars or splitting the interrogation table in half right now. The news footage switched to the police station entrance, where several police officers were gathered around a smashed police car, discussing it animatedly. The hole in the car body was big enough to fit a basketball. The man claimed to be Thor, and also said he would summon lightning to strike down the entire town. Police suspect he may have mental issues and have applied for a psychiatric evaluation. Mental issues. Lin Mo frowned. If Thor was really sent to a mental hospital, when would the Asgardian people find him? Without Thor's hammer, without someone who could lift the hammer, what would happen to the future Battle of New York? Although he didn't want to get involved in these major events, he couldn't just stand by and watch a key figure be locked up as a lunatic. Ted, wake up. Lin Mo nudged the person on the next bed. Get up, I need your help with something. Ted groggily opened his eyes, mumbling, the barbecue isn't cooked yet, but seeing Lin Mo's serious expression, he reluctantly sat up, rubbing his eyes. In the middle of the night, what do you need to do? Steal the hammer. Something simpler than that. Lin Mo pulled out a dark jacket from his backpack. Go to the police station and get someone out. Get someone out. Ted's sleepiness instantly vanished for the most part, his eyes wide as copper bells. Are you crazy? We're tourists, not jailbreakers. Besides, who are we getting out? That blonde madman. He's not a madman, Lin Mo said as he put on his jacket. Trust me, letting him out won't do us any harm. He didn't explain Thor's true identity. Telling Ted, we're going to rescue Thor, would only be seen as a more serious mental problem. Ted was still hesitating, but Lin Mo had already opened the door. If you don't want to go, that's fine, I'll go by myself. If I get caught by the police, remember to inform Aunt May. You're forcing me, Ted grumbled as he jumped out of bed, grabbing his pants and pulling them on. If my cousin finds out I went to break someone out of jail, he'll break my legs. He muttered as he got dressed. I shouldn't have come to this rotten place with you. It would have been so much better to stay in New York, but no, we have to come and rescue some madman. Lin Mo ignored his complaints, his mind already planning the route. The town police station was at the end of the main street, a two-story red brick building with iron bars on the windows and two police officers standing guard at the entrance. He had seen them on the news earlier. With his current physical enhancement and phasing ability, sneaking in shouldn't be difficult. The challenge was how to get Thor out without revealing his identity. As the two sneaked out of the hotel, the street was empty, with only the streetlights casting a dim yellow glow on the sand. Ted followed closely behind Lin Mo, his steps trembling. I say, are we really going to do this? Or maybe we should just forget it. what does it have to do with us if that madman is locked up? When he summons lightning and strikes down the town, it will have something to do with us. Lin Mo lowered his voice, turning into an alley that led to the back door of the police station. Several trash cans were piled deep in the alley, emitting a sour smell of meat. A few stray dogs, startled by the footsteps, raised their heads and watched them warily, emitting low, woof-woof, growls from their throats. Lin Mo stopped, pulled out the leftover beef jerky from his pocket from the morning, and threw a few pieces over. The dogs immediately pounced on the food, no longer paying attention to them. "See," he said to Ted, "even dogs know who their friends are." Ted swallowed, not speaking, just tightly clutching the folding knife in his hand. Lin Mo had told him to bring it, saying it was, just in case, but it was actually useless. As expected, there were no guards at the back door of the police station, only a flickering streetlight illuminating the rusty iron gate. Lin Mo activated his phasing ability, and his body instantly became translucent, like a shadow blending into the night. "You wait here, I'll go in and check," he told Ted, then stepped through the iron gate, landing silently in the yard. Several police cars were parked in the yard, and one of them indeed had a large hole in its door, with traces of blood still clinging to the edges. Lin Mo held his breath, and his dynamic vision automatically activated, clearly capturing the moving figure behind a second-story window. It was the duty police, yawning with a coffee cup in his hand. He walked along the wall towards the main building, his phasing ability allowing him to easily pass through the glass door and enter the police station lobby. The police officer at the front desk was sound asleep, sprawled on the table, saliva dripping from the corner of his mouth, forming a small wet stain on the incident report book. The wall clock pointed to 2 a.m., and the ticking of the second hand was exceptionally clear in the silent lobby. According to the news footage, the cells should be in the underground room. Lin Mo walked down the stairs, each step as light as a cat's paw landing. As soon as he reached the bottom of the stairs, he heard a loud crash of tables and chairs, accompanied by a man's angry roar and the police's cries of alarm. "Again, you cowards, don't you even dare to arm wrestle." It was Thor's voice, even louder than what he had heard outside the cordon during the day, making the walls tremble slightly. Lin Mo quickened his steps, phasing through the iron door of the underground room. The sight before him made his mouth twitch. Thor was locked in the innermost cell, arm wrestling with two police officers through the iron bars. The table was already twisted and crooked, one leg unnaturally sticking up, on the verge of collapsing. A young police officer stood nearby, recording with a camera, excitedly shouting, "Go! Break his arm." "This is the real madman," Lin Mo muttered to himself. He went around to the back of the cell, where there was a vent, large enough for a person to squeeze through. He activated his phasing ability, passed through the metal mesh of the vent, and landed in the shadow outside the cell. Thor was pressing a police officer's arm onto the table, a triumphant smile on his face. "See. This is the power of Asgard. You mortals." His words were cut short as he suddenly sensed something, sharply turning his head towards where Lin Mo was hiding. His blue eyes glowed astonishingly in the dim light. "Who's there?" Lin Mo's heart tightened, and he quickly held his breath. Could Asgardians perceive energy while in a phasing state? He saw Thor's brow furrow, and just as he was about to get up, Lin Mo quickly stepped out of the shadow, making a shush gesture at him. "It's you." Thor recognized him, a flicker of surprise in his eyes, the mortal who can resonate with the hammer. "What are you doing here?" "To get you out." Lin Mo lowered his voice, pointing to the cell lock. "Don't talk, just cooperate." The two police officers were bewildered by their conversation, standing up with their batons. "Who are you? How did you get in?" Lin Mo ignored them, the power of physical enhancement erupting instantly, his fingers reaching for the cell lock like lightning. It was an ordinary pin tumbler lock, no different from a toy to him. With a soft click, the lock opened. "Hurry." Lin Mo pulled open the cell door, growling at Thor. Thor was stunned for a moment, clearly not expecting it to be so smooth. He looked at the open cell door, then at the dumbfounded police officers, and suddenly burst out laughing. "Good kid. Interesting." He pushed aside the police officer blocking his way, following Lin Mo towards the vent. As he passed the two still stunned police officers, he didn't forget to pat one of them on the shoulder. "Next time, we'll compete again." Lin Mo led Thor into the vent, phasing through the metal mesh and returning to the yard. Ted saw them come out and was so scared he almost sat on the ground. "My goodness, you actually got him out." No time for talk, run. Lin Mo pulled Ted and ran deep into the alley, Thor following closely behind, striding effortlessly. Lin Mo only stopped to catch his breath when they reached a safe area. Thor looked him over, then suddenly grinned. Why did you save me? Because you shouldn't be locked up in a place like that, Lin Mo said, speaking his true feelings. No matter how reckless Thor was, he was, after all, a future hero who would protect Earth, and he shouldn't be in such a sorry state. Thor raised an eyebrow, a complex emotion flashing in his blue eyes. You know who I am. Lin Mo hesitated for a moment, then nodded. Thor, Prince of Asgard. Ted, listening nearby, gaped, and the folding knife in his hand dropped to the ground with a clatter. Thor. You mean the Thor from mythology? Thor puffed out his chest proudly. It seems my renown has spread throughout the 9 realms. Don't flatter yourself, Lin Mo said irritably. Now is not the time for that. What do you plan to do next? Shield and the police are both looking for you. I'm going to get my hammer back. Thor's gaze became firm. Without it, I am not Thor, nor can I face my father. You can't take it. Lin Mo recalled the scene from last night. That hammer is sealed by Odin's power, you can't lift it now. Thor's face instantly turned grim. How do you know? I can feel it. Lin Mo pointed to his wrist. The bracelet's vibration had weakened, but the resonance was still there. That hammer is waiting for someone worthy of it, and you are not yet. Thor fell silent, his golden hair glowing softly in the moonlight, showing a vulnerable expression for the first time. You're right, he said in a low voice. I was too reckless, thinking power was everything, and as a result, Father stripped me of my godhood and banished me to this mortal world. It's good that you know your mistake. Lin Mo patted his shoulder, not expecting this Asgardian prince to have moments of reflection. Perhaps you should first learn how to be a mortal before considering being Thor. Thor looked up, gazing deeply at him. You are a strange mortal. He turned and walked towards the desert. I will prove to you that I am worthy of my hammer. Hey, where are you going? Lin Mo called out to him. To find a place to contemplate life. Thor's voice came from afar, and his figure quickly disappeared behind the sand dunes. Thank you, mortal. I will remember you. Lin Mo watched him disappear, a sigh of relief in his heart. At least, he didn't let the future Thor actually get sent to a mental hospital. We've dealt with a god. Ted still hadn't recovered, his voice trembling. Something like that. Lin Mo picked up the folding knife from the ground, putting it back in his hand. Let's go back to sleep, we still have to catch the bus tomorrow. By the time they returned to the hotel, the sky was already turning a fish belly white. Ted collapsed into bed and slept soundly this time, probably scared stiff. Lin Mo, however, had no intention of sleeping. He sat by the window, watching the desert sunrise, the golden sunlight spilling over the dunes like flowing honey. The bracelet suddenly vibrated. Detected benign interaction between host and Asgardian royalty. Physical enhancement synchronization rate increased by 5%, currently 53%. New effect unlocked. Energy perception can roughly determine the intensity and attributes of surrounding supernatural energy. Lin Mo smiled. He hadn't expected saving Thor to increase his synchronization rate, it was a pleasant surprise. He tried to scan his surroundings with the newly unlocked energy perception. The hotel owner's energy was ordinary, Ted's energy carried a hint of fatigue, while the energy in the distant shield cordon was like a swirling dark cloud, heavy and oppressive. The hammer's energy was hidden in the center of that dark cloud, like a beating heart. Interesting, Lin Mo murmured. It seemed this trip to New Mexico yielded more than he had imagined. The next morning, as Lin Mo and Ted ate breakfast in the hotel restaurant, they overheard police officers at the next table discussing. That crazy blonde guy ran away in the middle of the night. The cell lock was opened, and the surveillance cameras didn't capture anything, it was like a haunting. He must have opened it himself. That guy is incredibly strong, another police officer said. The chief has already asked S.H.I.E.L.D. for help, he'll probably be caught soon. Lin Mo's hand, holding the coffee cup, paused, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl slightly. He glanced at Ted, who was buried in his pancakes, pretending not to hear anything, but his ears were red like cooked shrimp. This coffee is good. Lin Mo took a sip, looking out the window. On Pepper Town's main street, several more S.H.I.E.L.D. cars had appeared. Coulson probably already knew about Thor's escape. He wondered if the agent would trace it back to him. Let's go as soon as we finish eating. Ted suddenly looked up, his voice very low. I keep feeling like someone is watching us. Lin Mo followed his gaze. A man in a black trench coat stood at the restaurant entrance, looking in their direction. It was Hawkeye. He held a thermos cup, seemingly waiting for someone, but his eyes occasionally darted over, and a faint smile played on his lips. Don't be nervous, eat. Lin Mo added a piece of bacon to Ted's plate. He's just watching the show. Hawkeye watched them for a few minutes, then turned and left. Lin Mo knew this was a warning, and also tacit approval. S.H.I.E.L.D. probably already knew he had saved Thor, but had no intention of pursuing it. Perhaps from Coulson's perspective, letting the reckless Thor leave the police station was better than him causing trouble inside. Let's go. Lin Mo put down his coffee cup, picked up his backpack, back to New York. As he got into the taxi heading to the station, Lin Mo took one last look at the distant cordon. In the sunlight, the hammer still stood embedded in the rock, like a silent vow. He knew that his connection with this place was not over, and when Thor truly understood the meaning of "worthy of the hammer," he might return again. Ted dozed off against the car window, still mumbling, "I'm never coming to this place again." Lin Mo smiled, not speaking. Some experiences, even if thrilling, are worth cherishing. At least, he could brag to Peter, he had not only met Thor but also helped him escape from the police station. That was much cooler than street magic. The morning sun in New Mexico was like a red-hot iron, baking the desert and causing distorted heatwaves to rise. Lin Mo stood under the gas station's canopy, watching Dale fill up the car. The gasoline in the tank shimmered with tiny specks of light, making the bracelet on his wrist glow faintly. "Are you really not going to wait to see the sunrise before you leave?" Dale stuffed a bag of beef jerky into Ted's hand, his bushy beard still spotted with oil from last night's barbecue. "The desert sunrise at this time is 10 times more beautiful than your New York fireworks." "No, cousin." Ted stuffed the beef jerky into his bag, the zipper barely closing. It was crammed with souvenirs he'd bought. A T-shirt with a Thor hammer design, a desert lizard specimen, and a stone ornament that claimed to be from Asgard. Lin Mo had used his phasing ability to look at it. It was just an ordinary sandstone. "If we don't leave now, we'll really miss the bus back to New York." Lin Mo still has to go back to fix computers. Lin Mo smiled, saying nothing. His mind wasn't on the bus back to New York at all, but on the blocked-off area a few kilometers away. After helping Thor escape last night, he had barely slept, his mind filled with the dark golden patterns of the hammer and the abnormal vibration frequency of his bracelet. Before leaving, he had to go there one more time, even if just for a quick look from afar. "I'm going to the restroom," Lin Mo told Ted, pointing to the makeshift toilet behind the gas station. Ted was busy taking photos of the Asgard stone, and waved his hand without looking up. "Hurry up, the bus leaves in half an hour." Lin Mo went around to the back of the toilet and immediately activated physical enhancement. The 5x speed made him dart across the desert like a gust of wind, the sand under his feet scattering. Dynamic vision helped him avoid several hidden sand dune traps. Ted had sprained his ankle here yesterday and cried out in pain. There were more S.H.I.E.L.D. agents outside the cordon than yesterday. 2 more white mobile laboratories had appeared, one of which had biological research printed on its side. Several people in white lab coats were carrying a metal container inside, the radiation symbol on the container glaring in the sunlight. Coulson stood in front of the makeshift command tent, holding a tablet computer, his brow furrowed as he spoke to an agent wearing glasses. The agent's ID badge swayed. Lin Mo saw the name, Fields, a biologist, mentioned in Peter's compiled data, specializing in extraterrestrial biological samples. "It seems last night's escape made them step up security," Lin Mo muttered, hiding behind a clump of dry bushes. He could see several new cameras on the barbed wire fence, and even energy-sensing devices, emitting a faint blue light, like fireflies clinging to the net. Trying to cross the cordon directly was clearly impossible. Lin Mo observed for a moment and found a 30-second gap in the western patrol route, enough time for him to rush through with physical enhancement and then use phasing ability to pass through the last barbed wire fence. He took a deep breath, flexed his ankles, and the sand rustled under his feet. Just then, a quarrel suddenly erupted from the command tent. It was Thor. He had been recaptured at some point and was now roaring at Coulson through the glass door, his golden hair bristling with anger, like an enraged lion. "You mortals, let me out, otherwise, my father will not let you off." "Sir, Please remain calm. Coulson's voice came through the glass, still as steady as an unruffled lake. You cannot leave here until we confirm your identity. Lin Mo's heart skipped a beat. Thor was locked up. Then last night's escape was all for nothing. He was about to get closer when he suddenly saw Hawkeye walk out of the laboratory, carrying a black box, and head straight for the command tent where Thor was being held. The shape of the box was familiar. It was made of the same material as the shield-encrypted hard drive casing Lin Mo had repaired before, and it most likely contained some super ability suppressing device. He couldn't wait any longer. Lin Mo seized the moment the patrolman turned around and shot out like an arrow from a bow. The wind whistled in his ears, and the barbed wire fence grew closer. He could hear the beep-beep sound of the energy-sensing device, which had clearly detected his rapid movement. Stop! The patrolman's shout rang out behind him, accompanied by the crisp click of a gun being cocked. Lin Mo didn't look back, activating phasing ability in the last second before hitting the barbed wire fence. His body passed through it like a sheet of thin paper, and the energy-sensing device's alarm abruptly stopped. It couldn't detect a physical entity in a phasing state. He landed on the sand inside the cordon, rolled with the momentum, and hid behind a large rock, from where he could clearly see the hammer's location. The dark golden hammer was still stuck in the rock, and there were even more shield agents around it than yesterday. Some were scanning with sonar detectors, some were collecting rock samples, and one agent was trying to cut off a small piece of the rock with a laser cutter, but the laser only left a faint white mark on the stone. This stone is indeed extraordinary. Lin Mo stared at the rock embedded with the hammer. It was darker than the surrounding sandstone, its surface covered with fine patterns, like traces of a lightning strike. The bracelet on his wrist vibrated violently, and a dazzling red light flashed on the screen. High-intensity Asgard energy residue detected, same energy source as the hammer, suggest immediate sample collection. Collect a sample. Lin Mo was stunned for a moment, then realized the bracelet wanted him to bring a piece of the stone back. He looked around. The agents were all focused on the hammer, no one noticed him in the corner. The opportunity had arrived. Lin Mo pretended to tie his shoelace, crouched down, and stealthily extended his fingers towards the base of the rock. The touch was icy cold, like holding a piece of iron just taken out of a freezer, yet it subtly emitted a warm current that seeped from his fingertips into his arm. He gently picked at it with his fingernail, and a small piece of gravel, about the size of a fingernail, clattered onto the sand, coated with fine sand. Just as he picked up the gravel, the bracelet suddenly emitted a strong blue light, startling him. He quickly shoved the stone into his pants pocket and simultaneously turned off the bracelet screen. The surrounding agents didn't seem to notice anything unusual, only the agent operating the laser cutter frowned, looked up this way for a moment, then lowered his head and continued working. Time to go. Lin Mo clapped the sand off his hands, and just as he was about to activate phasing ability to leave, he suddenly saw Coulson walk out of the command tent, looking in his direction. Their gazes met in midair, and Lin Mo's heart instantly leapt to his throat. Coulson's eyes showed no surprise, even a hint of a smile. He nodded slightly at Lin Mo, then turned and walked towards the laboratory, as if nothing had happened. Lin Mo's back was drenched in cold sweat. He understood that look. Coulson had known he had slipped in, but deliberately let him go. Why? Was it because he helped Thor escape last night? Or because of the bracelet on his arm? No time to think. Lin Mo activated phasing ability again, passed through the barbed wire fence at top speed, and landed in the desert outside the cordon. The patrolman's shouts still echoed behind him, but he had already run a long distance. Physical enhancement made his speed like a motorcycle, and he quickly left the cordoned-off area far behind. When he returned to the gas station, Ted was anxiously pacing by the car. Seeing Lin Mo run over, he immediately yelled, "Where have you been?" The driver said he's about to leave. He pointed at Lin Mo's pant leg. "Why is there so much sand on your pant leg? And a small stone hanging there." Lin Mo looked down and indeed, there was a black stone about the size of a fingernail clinging to a crease in his pant leg, exactly the piece he had just pried from the rock. He calmly put the stone into his pants pocket and patted Ted's shoulder. "I went to the nearby sand dunes for a quick look. Something urgent came up." "What urgent matter is more important than catching the bus?" Ted grumbled as he got into the car, still complaining incessantly. "If I had known you were so slow, I wouldn't have come with you. I'd rather watch a magic show in Las Vegas." Lin Mo didn't reply. He just watched the car drive away from Pepper Town. the desert outside the window gradually turning into blurry patches of color. He touched the stone in his pants pocket. The cold sensation came through the fabric, and the bracelet began to vibrate faintly again, but this time it wasn't an alarm, but a soft blue light, as if confirming something. "What are you looking at?" Ted suddenly leaned over, pointing at his wrist. "Did your bracelet just light up?" "No, it's the sunlight reflecting." Lin Mo quickly hid his wrist in his sleeve, his heart pounding like a drum. He couldn't let Ted know the origin of this stone. If the kid knew he was carrying an Asgard energy shard, he'd probably take it to a bar to show off, and then shield. Agents would probably come knocking directly. As the car drove into Arizona, Ted finally fell asleep, drool trickling from the corner of his mouth onto his Thor t-shirt. Chapter 51. Lin Mo quietly took out the black stone and examined it in the palm of his hand. The stone's surface was smooth, and when held up to the sun, fine patterns could be seen, very similar to the patterns on the hammer, but shallower. He scraped it with his fingernail, and it left no mark. It was much harder than ordinary rock. The bracelet suddenly displayed a notification. Asgard energy sample collected. Analysis initiated. Analysis complete. This sample contains faint residual Odin force, which can be used to improve physical enhancement synchronization rate, current increase 5%, total synchronization rate 53%. Lin Mo's eyes lit up. It could even increase the synchronization rate. He tried to clench the stone, and sure enough, he felt a warm current spread from his arm throughout his body. The strength in his muscles seemed to increase further, and even dynamic vision became clearer, allowing him to discern the outlines of cacti several kilometers outside the window. What a treasure! Lin Mo carefully placed the stone into his inner pocket, alongside the map Peter had drawn. This unassuming little stone had turned out to be the most unexpected gain of his New Mexico trip. The car bumped along the highway for 2 days and 2 nights, finally arriving in New York on the morning of the 3rd day. The air in Queens was a mixture of exhaust fumes and the scent of bakeries, a stark contrast to the dryness of the desert. Ted yawned, got off the car with his bag, complaining, New York beds are still the most comfortable. Lin Mo, however, stood on the station steps, gazing at the distant skyline, a complex feeling in his heart. The New Mexico desert, Schild's cordon, the hammer stuck in the rock, the golden-haired roaring Thor, Coulson's meaningful gaze, all of it felt like a bizarre dream, yet it remained vividly in his memory, with the black stone hidden in his pocket as proof. "Let's go, Mo." Ted tugged his arm. "Martha must have made breakfast for us. I miss her toast." Lin Mo nodded, following Ted towards the apartment building. As they passed the community park, they saw Peter feeding his spider. The spider in the glass jar was larger than before, its black leg markings like ink. The boy saw them and immediately ran over excitedly. "Brother Lin." "Brother Ted, you're back." "Yeah," Lin Mo smiled, ruffling Peter's hair. "I brought you a gift." He pulled out a small desert lizard specimen from his bag. Ted had bought it, and Lin Mo always found it creepy, so it was perfect to give to Peter as research material. "Wow, thank you, Brother Lin." Peter's eyes lit up, and he carefully took the specimen. "Did you see the hammer? Isn't it super cool?" "More than cool, it's simply amazing," Ted interjected, spitting on Peter's face. "Even a tank couldn't move it." And there was a crazy blonde guy, constantly shouting that it was his hammer, and Shield caught him several times. Lin Mo didn't speak, he just touched the black stone in his pocket. The bracelet's synchronization rate was stable at 53%, and the energy sensor indicated that the stone's energy was slowly being released, likely lasting about a week. He knew that this trip to New Mexico was far more than just picking up a stone. Back in the underground room, Lin Mo hid the black stone in an iron box under his mattress, along with his savings and Peter's map. As he closed the box, he suddenly felt the bracelet on his wrist lighten, as if it had completed some mission. The sunlight from outside streamed through the transom window, falling on the toolbox on the floor. Lin Mo picked up a wrench and tried to tighten the screw he hadn't fixed yesterday. The strength from physical enhancement allowed him to easily handle it, and even phasing ability became smoother. When he closed the box just now, his finger had inadvertently passed through the iron, but it didn't stutter like before. "It seems this stone has hidden effects," Lin Mo smiled, suddenly filled with anticipation for his next check-in. With the boost from Asgard energy, what ability would he gain next? Would it be related to Thor? A knock came from the door. It was Martha's voice. "Xiao Lin. Come quickly for breakfast when you get back. I made your favorite fried eggs, they'll get cold if you don't eat them now. Coming, Lin Mo replied, picking up his jacket and heading out. The hallway was filled with the aroma of fried eggs. Ted was already sitting at Martha's dining table, his mouth stuffed. Snowball was curled up on his lap, gnawing on a piece of bacon. Peter held the lizard specimen, drawing and writing in a notebook, while Aunt May was busy in the kitchen, humming a cheerful tune. Lin Mo looked at the scene before him and suddenly felt incredibly grounded. No matter how exciting the New Mexico adventure was, it couldn't compare to the warmth of breakfast in Queens. The black stone might contain powerful energy, but for him, the most precious things were these noisy daily moments. Why are you spacing out? Eat quickly. Martha placed a plate of fried eggs in front of him. The golden yolk oozed out, mixing with ketchup, like an abstract painting. You didn't starve in New Mexico, did you? You're so thin, you'll blow over in a gust of wind. I didn't starve. Cousin Dale treated us to barbecue. Lin Mo picked up his fork, feeling a warmth in his heart. The sunlight outside was perfect, spilling through the window onto the dining table, coating everyone's faces with a golden edge. Lin Mo bit into a fried egg, the aroma of the yolk spread in his mouth, and he suddenly felt that no matter how many adventures awaited him in the future, as long as he could return here and eat Martha's fried eggs, he wouldn't be afraid of anything. As for the black stone hidden in the iron box, let's just consider it a souvenir from New Mexico. Who knows, maybe one day, it will come in very handy. As the long-distance bus pulled into the Queens station, Lin Mo was breathing on the window, drawing a map of New Mexico with his finger. The mist on the glass was wiped into a circle by him, perfectly framing a Spider-Man graffiti on the opposite building's rooftop. It was Peter's work, with 2 more spider legs than last time he saw it. Finally back, Ted sprang from his seat, his backpack strap still tangled with half a dried desert weed. New York air just smells different, it has a pizza smell. He sniffed hard, then suddenly frowned. No, it also seems to have a garbage smell. Lin Mo laughed and kicked him. Hurry up, Carlos will dock your pay. He picked up the canvas bag containing souvenirs. The small stone inside poked his waist through the fabric, like a disobedient hand warmer that hadn't cooled down since leaving Pepper Town. The wristband occasionally flashed a faint blue light, but no alerts popped up, as if hiding a secret. The repair shop's roll-up door was half open, and Carlos was squatting at the entrance fixing a motorcycle, his face splattered with oil. Seeing them return, the old man straightened up, throwing the wrench in his hand to the ground. You still remember to come back. I thought you were carried off by a rattlesnake in the desert. How could that be, Brother Luo? Ted said with a cheeky grin, handing him a bag of cactus fruit that Dell had given him, a local specialty for you, good for beauty and complexion. Carlos glanced at the wrinkled fruit, didn't take it, and turned to walk into the shop. Come inside, we have a problem. Lin Mo's heart skipped a beat. A problem. Had S.H.I.E.L.D. found them? He quickly followed into the shop, and as soon as he stepped over the threshold, he froze. The corner usually piled with parts had been cleared out, a folding table set up, with an old computer on it, and a cardboard sign next to it, crookedly scrawled with, Supernatural Computer Repair, Mind-Powered Boot Up, Money Back Guarantee if ineffective. This is, Lin Mo pointed at the cardboard sign, the rough and tumble vibe of the words hitting him. A competitor. Carlos took out 2 bottles of cola from the cooler. He appeared last week after you left, a tall, skinny guy with black-rimmed glasses, always loitering outside the shop, claiming he could fix computers with his mind, and he's stolen a lot of business. He twisted open a cola and handed it to Lin Mo. He was just here, said he wanted to compete with you. Compete over what? Who fixes faster? Ted leaned over the folding table, poking the old computer. This junk machine would take up too much space even in the trash can. He can boot it up with his mind. I can make magic with my mind. Lin Mo didn't speak. He just activated his phasing ability and scanned the computer. A miniature electromagnet had been added inside the case, and wires snaked down the table leg and under the table, covered by a piece of rag. A cold smile played on his lips. Sure enough, it was a scammer. Just as he was speaking, a head poked into the shop doorway, as thin as a clothesline, with glasses as thick as beer bottle bottoms. The man's eyes lit up when he saw Lin Mo, and he straightened his back and walked in, holding a crystal ball. Are you Lin Mo? I am Victor, founder of Supernatural Computer Repair. He placed the crystal ball on the table, the glass sphere refracting a dazzling light in the sun. I heard you're great at fixing computers. Do you dare to compete with me? Not interested. Lin Mo turned to go back to his workbench, but Victor stopped him. What? Afraid? The man deliberately raised his voice, causing passers-by to stop and watch the commotion. Is it because you know you can't beat my mind power? He patted the old computer. Watch closely. No power button, I just need a thought. Victor closed his eyes, gesturing over the crystal ball with both hands, muttering incantations. Everyone around held their breath, even Carlos put down his wrench. Lin Mo leaned against the workbench, clearly seeing with his dynamic vision that a small magnet had slid out of the man's sleeve, gently swaying towards the mechanism under the table. Buzz, the computer suddenly emitted a startup sound, the screen lit up, displaying the Windows boot interface. Wow, it really booted up, the onlookers exclaimed, and several old ladies immediately gathered around, chattering about whether he could fix their microwaves. See, Victor opened his eyes triumphantly, pushing up his glasses. This is the power of superpowers. Lin Mo, if you concede, all the business in this area will be mine from now on. Lin Mo looked at his pretentious act and suddenly found it a bit funny. Such a petty trick might fool old ladies in Queens, but encountering him meant this scammer was out of luck. He cleared his throat, then suddenly raised his voice. Mind power. I think it's magnet power, isn't it? Victor's face instantly changed. What nonsense are you talking about? Nonsense, me. Lin Mo slowly walked behind the table, and while Victor wasn't paying attention, he used his phasing ability to go through the tablecloth, gently hooking out the remote control hidden underneath. Then what is this? He held up the remote control, its buttons still stained with a piece of chewing gum, the switch that controls the electromagnet, quite well hidden, isn't it? The crowd instantly fell silent, then erupted in angry shouts. Scammer. I knew it couldn't be that miraculous. My pension. He also scammed me $50 to fix my refrigerator. Victor panicked, grabbed the crystal ball, and tried to run, but Ted grabbed him by the collar, trying to run. Give back the money you scammed from the old ladies. The man pulled hard, and Victor's glasses fell to the ground, shattering into pieces, revealing a pair of shifty, beady eyes. Beat him, someone shouted, and the onlookers immediately swarmed forward, fists and feet raining down on Victor. Ted quickly protected the old computer to avoid it being affected. After all, it was shop property. Carlos watched the chaotic scene, not intervening, just patting Lin Mo's shoulder, a rare smile gracing his lips. You're still the reliable one. Minor matter. Lin Mo threw the remote control into the trash can, but his mind was on what had just happened. Although the scammer was detestable, the name, Supernatural Computer Repair, made him suddenly realize that he might be able to use his abilities to do some legitimate business, such as opening a real, supernatural repair shop. After the farce ended, Ted excitedly rubbed his hands. Mo, what you just did was so cool. Like magic. Why don't we really open a supernatural repair shop? You use your phasing and super strength, and I'll be in charge of attracting business. It's sure to be a hit. We'll see. Lin Mo didn't directly agree. He walked to the workbench, opened the canvas bag, and wanted to take out the small stone and put it away. As soon as he reached in, he quickly pulled his hand back. Burned, the stone was as hot as a branding iron, and the fabric at the bottom of the bag had a scorch mark. What's wrong? Carlos came over, saw the scorch mark on the bag, and frowned. What's inside? Nothing. Lin Mo quickly closed the bag. A stone I brought back from the desert. It might have gotten too hot from the sun. But his heart was fluttering. This stone was only warm in New Mexico, so why did it suddenly become hot after returning to New York? The wristband suddenly vibrated violently, and a dazzling red light popped up on the screen. High concentration Asgardian energy leakage detected. Repulsive reaction with host energy. Please isolate immediately. Lin Mo's heart pounded. Repulsive reaction. Could it be that this stone couldn't stay in New York? Or did it have some effect on this city? Why do you look so pale? Ted handed him a bottle of ice water. Are you tired? Why don't you go back and rest first? I'm fine. Lin Mo took the water and gulped it down. The cold liquid calmed him down a bit. I'm going out for some fresh air. He carried the canvas bag out of the repair shop and walked aimlessly along the street. The stone's temperature was getting higher and higher, and he could feel the burning pain even through the bag. Passing by the community park, Lin Mo saw Peter flying a kite with a group of children. The Iron Man-shaped kite flew high in the sky, and the spool spun rapidly in the boy's hand. Brother Lin. Peter saw him and immediately ran over, almost letting go of the kite string. You're back. Was the desert fun? Did you see the hammer? Lin Mo forced a smile. It was all right, I saw it. He hid the canvas bag behind him, afraid the stone's high temperature would hurt the child. That must have been spectacular, Peter said excitedly, his eyes sparkling. My cousin said Shield built a huge base there and sent many agents to guard it. Oh, by the way, do you know? The community has been having frequent power outages recently, and the electrician has checked many times but can't find the cause. Do you think it might be? I don't know. Lin Mo interrupted him, a terrible thought suddenly popping into his mind. Could the community power outages be related to this stone? The leakage of Asgardian energy could very likely interfere with the electrical system. He no longer hesitated and turned to walk towards Mrs. Martha's house. The old lady was well informed, and perhaps she would know how to deal with this hot potato of a stone. Martha was sunning quilts in the yard, and Snowball was napping on a quilt. Seeing Lin Mo, the fat cat immediately jumped down and rubbed its head against his pant leg. You're back. The old lady clapped the dust off her hands. Ted called me and said you saw a lot in the desert. Mrs. Martha, I need to talk to you about something. Lin Mo placed the canvas bag on the ground and carefully pulled open the zipper, revealing the small stone inside. At this moment, it was as red as a branding iron, and the surrounding air was distorted by the heat. Martha's face instantly changed, and she pulled Lin Mo back. What is this monstrosity? Where did you get it? I brought it back from New Mexico, Lin Mo quickly explained. It's a stone that was flung away by that hammer, and I picked it up because I thought it was interesting. Nonsense. Martha's voice was trembling. She pointed at the stone. There's an evil power on it, throw it away quickly. Otherwise, something bad will happen. The old lady turned and ran into the house, coming out with a tin box that used to hold coffee beans. Quick. Put it in there. This box was used by my husband to store ammunition, it can isolate some things. Lin Mo quickly did as he was told, and the moment the stone was placed in the tin box, there was a sizzle, and white smoke came out, and a black mark immediately appeared on the outside of the box. He quickly put the lid on and used tongs to clip the box to a corner of the yard, away from flammable materials. You, Martha patted her chest, her face pale. You dared to pick up anything and bring it back. What was that hammer? It was a divine object that fell from the sky. Can anything that touched it be casually handled? She pointed in the direction of the community center. Haven't you noticed the frequent power outages recently? And the radio hissing? It's all because of this thing. Lin Mo suddenly understood. It turned out that the community's abnormalities were not a coincidence, they were indeed caused by this stone. He looked at the tin box emitting white smoke, a wave of fear washing over him. If he had dealt with it any later, it might have caused a fire, or even more serious consequences. So what now? Lin Mo was sweating profusely with anxiety. We can't just leave it here, can we? We can only wait for it to cool down completely, Martha sighed, then find a deserted place and bury it, the deeper the better. Remember, don't touch those mystical things again in the future, steadily repairing your computers is better than anything else. Lin Mo nodded, his heart a mix of emotions. He had only intended to pick up a souvenir, not realizing he almost caused a major disaster. This was probably what Martha meant by, the world is changing, even a mere stone could cause such a stir. This world was truly becoming more and more turbulent. In the evening, the tin box finally stopped smoking. Lin Mo and Ted pushed a small cart, transporting it to a forest in the suburbs, where they dug a 3-meter deep pit and buried it, then placed a large stone on top to prevent animals from digging it out. Finally done. Ted wiped his sweat. If I had known it would be so much trouble, I shouldn't have let you pick up this broken stone. Lin Mo didn't speak, just looked at the stone pressing down, a feeling he couldn't quite describe in his heart. This trip to New Mexico, though he didn't get close to the hammer, brought back such a problem, and also made him more deeply realize that the world full of superpowers and artifacts was far more dangerous than he imagined. When they returned to the repair shop, Carlos had already closed the door, leaving the light on. Lin Mo sat at the workbench, looking at his hands. The stone's warmth seemed to linger on them. The wristband had returned to calm, the screen displaying energy threat resolved, but he knew some things were already different. He opened his computer and pulled up an email from Peter, which summarized recent global anomalies: a green giant appearing in the Brazilian rainforest, ancient ruins discovered in a Norway glacier, and frequent UFO sightings over New York. Lin Mo rubbed his temples, suddenly feeling a bit nostalgic for the days when he only fixed computers. Back then, the biggest problems were a broken hard drive or a system crash, not dealing with stones containing alien energy or worrying about whether the world would be invaded by aliens. What are you thinking about? Ted walked in with 2 bowls of instant noodles. Brother Luo said he's giving us 2 days off to rest well. Oh, Aunt May said she wants us to come to her house for dumplings tomorrow to celebrate our safe return. All right, Lin Mo took the instant noodles, the steam blurring his glasses. He looked at Ted wolfing down his food and suddenly felt that no matter how the world changed, as long as these people were still around, as long as there was the smell of engine oil in the repair shop, and the vibrant atmosphere of Queens, there was no obstacle they couldn't overcome. As for that scammer Victor, it was said that angry residents chased him for 3 streets, and he was finally taken away by the police, probably to be locked up for a while. The repair shop's business returned to its usual bustling state, even better than before. Everyone said Lin Mo was an honest person with real skills. Lin Mo just smiled at this. He knew that his real skills were different from Victor's tricks, but they weren't exactly superpowers worth showing off. They just gave him a little more confidence to protect the ordinary in this troublesome world. Summer in Queens always carried a sweet, thick heat. The jingle of ice cream trucks drifted from street to alley, mixing with the laughter of children, spreading out across the asphalt. Lin Mo squatted at the entrance of the repair shop, changing a tire on an old bicycle. Sweat streamed down his forehead, dripping onto his oil-stained hand, spreading a small, dark mark. Xiao Lin, come up quickly. Aunt May's voice floated down from the apartment window, with a hint of cheerful lilt. My nephew is here. Lin Mo looked up, casually wiping his hand on his t-shirt. His gaze passed over the drying bedsheets and duvet covers, seeing Aunt May leaning out the window, waving at him. Behind her, half a face with black-rimmed glasses appeared, the lenses reflecting the dazzling sunlight. His heart skipped a beat, and the wrench in his hand almost fell to the ground. He had arrived. He stood up, patted the dust off his pants, and walked towards the apartment building. The fan in the stairwell creaked, unable to dispel the stuffy heat in the air, but it brought the sweet scent of Aunt May's cookies. Reaching the 3rd floor, Aunt May's door was ajar, and faint voices could be heard from inside. I'll just stay for these 2 months of summer vacation. I'll definitely go back before school starts. I won't trouble you. It was a teenager's voice, with a shy timidity, and a hint of an unfaded adolescent hoarseness at the end. How many times have I told you, don't be so polite with Aunt May? Aunt May's voice had a touch of playful reproach. Your parents are in Europe for a conference, they're not home. If I don't take care of you, who will? Besides, Xiaolin and Ted, those 2 kids, eat dinner here every day. It's just one more pair of chopsticks. Lin Mo smiled and pushed open the door. The scene in the living room instantly reminded him of a comic he had read before he transmigrated. A tall, thin teenager sat on the sofa, back ramrod straight, hands neatly placed on his knees. The collar of his faded t-shirt was slightly curled, and his black-rimmed glasses had slipped to the tip of his nose, which he was frantically pushing back up. Lin, Uncle Lin, hello. The teenager saw him, stood up abruptly, and in his haste, knocked over the backpack by his feet. Books tumbled out, revealing a notebook with a spider printed on its cover. His cheeks instantly flushed crimson, like ripe tomatoes. I heard Aunt May say you're very good at fixing computers. Lin Mo's gaze fell on the spider notebook, then swept over the homemade bracelet on the teenager's wrist, made of circuit boards and rubber bands. It looked a bit familiar, like an early spider sense device. He stifled a laugh, bending down to help the teenager pick up his books. Just call me Lin Mo, no need for uncle. I'm only a few years older than you. Peter Parker. The teenager quickly introduced himself, fumbling to stuff the books back into his backpack, his glasses slipping down again. I'm a sophomore at Midtown High School, and I'm staying here for the summer. Have a seat, don't stand. Lin Mo handed him the books, his fingertips inadvertently touching the teenager's hand, feeling him tremble slightly. Dynamic vision instinctively activated, clearly seeing the metallic edge peeking out of Peter's school uniform pocket. It looked like a small emitter, with a sticky, spider silk-like liquid still clinging to the button. It was him, indeed. Lin Mo sighed inwardly. This shy teenager, who dared not look people in the eye, would in a few years swing between the skyscrapers of New York, catching falling school buses with spider silk, and punching alien invaders. He suddenly felt a sense of wonder, like seeing a star before it had even begun to shine. Are you hungry? Aunt May emerged from the kitchen with a plate of cookies, the aroma instantly filling the living room. Freshly baked chocolate chip cookies, try some quickly. She pushed the plate towards Peter, then offered a piece to Lin Mo. Xiao Lin, you eat too. Look at you, sweating so much, just back from the Sahara Desert. Pretty much. Lin Mo took a bite of the cookie, the sweet taste of chocolate melting in his mouth. Helping Carlos fix his motorcycle. That old guy's bike is harder to deal with than a tank. Peter ate the cookie in small bites, secretly glancing at Lin Mo, then quickly lowering his head, his long eyelashes casting a small shadow behind his glasses. Lin Mo noticed his fingers were long, with distinct knuckles, and his nails were neatly trimmed. There was a faint callus on the web of his thumb, like one developed from holding a pen for a long time or operating precision instruments. Peter is an honor student at school, Aunt May said proudly, sitting next to Peter. He won first prize in the science fair for that bioelectric current device, which is said to make frog legs move. It's a nerve conduction experiment. Peter's face grew even redder. It's actually very simple, just using batteries and wires. Don't be modest, Aunt May interrupted him, turning to Lin Mo. This kid takes after his dad, he's loved taking things apart since he was little. Radios, alarm clocks in the house, none of them escaped his hands. Oh, by the way, your computer always gets the blue screen, doesn't it? Let Peter take a look. He's even better than a computer repairman. Peter immediately looked up, his eyes lighting up. Really? What model is it? Are there any error codes when it blue screens? It might be a memory compatibility issue, or maybe cooling. When it came to his area of expertise, his shyness greatly diminished, his speech quickened, and his eyes behind the lenses sparkled with excitement. Lin Mo watched his effusive explanation, suddenly remembering the notebook that had fallen out earlier, and deliberately teased him, if you have any difficult questions, you can ask me. Don't always climb on the roof. Peter's words came to an abrupt halt, his cheeks instantly turning so red they could drip blood. He stammered an explanation. I just like looking at the stars. The roof has a good view, no streetlights blocking it, you can see Orion. He became more and more flustered, finally lowering his head and pretending to intently study the cookie crumbs. Aunt May chuckled, patting Peter's back. This kid, he's loved climbing high places since he was little. He fell several times climbing trees in his own backyard, and still hasn't learned his lesson. She gave Lin Mo a wink, a teasing smile on her lips. Just like you when you were little, always loved squeezing through cracks in walls. Lin Mo's old face also felt a little hot. He was indeed mischievous as a child, climbing trees to raid bird nests, sneaking through fences to steal cherries from the neighbor's house, and getting spanked quite a few times. But compared to this future Spider-Man in front of him, he was a mere amateur. This guy could climb the Empire State Building. Oh, right, Lin Mo changed the subject, pointing to Peter's backpack. Did you bring a change of clothes? Aunt May's guest room is ready. Tell me if you need anything, there's a supermarket next to the repair shop. I did. Peter quickly nodded, pulling out a folded laundry bag with a Spider-Man pattern from the side pocket of his backpack. Aunt May probably bought it for him. The pattern was a bit childish and didn't quite match his age. Lin Mo's gaze lingered on the laundry bag for 2 seconds. Remembering Peter's future red and blue suit, he suddenly felt that this pattern had a prophetic meaning. He stood up. I'm heading back to the shop now. Carlos must be rushing me. Peter, if you're free this afternoon, come play at the repair shop. I'll show you a real, big guy. Really? Peter's eyes instantly lit up, like ignited stars. I heard the repair shop has a retired server, one that was decommissioned from S.H.I.E.L.D. Lin Mo paused, then nodded. How did you know? Carlos had gotten that server from someone, saying he wanted to take it apart and study it, but it had just been sitting in a corner, untouched. My cousin is interning in S.H.I.E.L.D.'s logistics department and mentioned it to me. Peter scratched his head a little sheepishly. He said that server uses alien alloy and has exceptionally strong electromagnetic interference resistance. Lin Mo's heart skipped a beat. Peter's cousin, could it be? He didn't dare to think too deeply, only patted Peter's shoulder. Come over this afternoon, you can take it apart for fun. Back at the repair shop, Carlos was grumbling at an old printer, the cigarette in his mouth almost burning his fingers. This thing, the words it prints look like gibberish. The old man crumpled the printed paper into a ball and threw it on the floor. The client needs it this afternoon. What do we do? Let me see. Lin Mo walked over, activated his phasing ability, and scanned the inside of the printer. A hair was wrapped around the roller, stuck in the gear. He used tweezers to gently pick it out, the movement as quick as magic. All right, he said, pressing the print button, and clear text immediately appeared on the paper. Carlos was stunned for a moment, then cursed, "When did you learn that trick, kid? Why didn't you do it earlier? You made me wrestle with it for half an hour." Despite his complaints, the corners of his mouth couldn't help but turn up. "I just learned it from Aunt May's house," Lin Mo said with a smile, his eyes glancing towards the shop entrance. Peter's figure appeared around the corner, hesitating whether to come in, nervously picking at his backpack strap. "Is that kid Aunt May's nephew?" Carlos followed his gaze. "He looks pretty honest, not like that troublemaker Ted, who causes mischief every 3 days. More reliable than Ted." Lin Mo picked up a rag to wipe the workbench. "He's good at studying and understands computers." Just as he was speaking, Ted came in from outside, humming a tune, carrying a huge magic box with "Las Vegas Royal Circus" printed on it. "Brother Luo, Mojay, look what treasure I found." He dropped the box on the ground with a loud clank. "I bought it at a second-hand market. They say a real magician used it before." Peter was startled by the noise and instinctively took a step back, bumping into the bicycle at the door, and the bell rang, ding-a-ling. "Oh, is this Aunt May's nephew?" Ted finally noticed Peter, grinning and showing a small canine tooth. "I'm Ted, your Moji's best buddy. Come on, I'll show you my new magic props." Peter was pulled by Ted towards the box, his steps a bit unsteady, and his glasses slid down again. Lin Mo looked at his flustered appearance and suddenly felt a pang of sympathy. A teenager this age should be playing ball on the playground, telling silly jokes with friends, not prematurely burdened with the responsibility of saving the world. "This is the human levitation device." Ted proudly opened the magic box, which contained an iron plate and several magnets. "Watch closely, I'll stand on it and float." He stepped on it, jumped hard, and indeed, floated a few centimeters, which was actually due to the repulsive force of the magnets. Peter's eyes lit up, and he leaned in to observe carefully. "It's a neodymium magnet. The magnetic strength is at least 10 times that of an ordinary magnet, but the repulsion is unstable and prone to tipping over." He pointed to the edge of the iron plate. "If you add a buffer device here, using springs or rubber pads, it should be more stable." Ted was stunned for a moment, scratching his head. "It can be modified like that? I thought it was good enough if it could float. Science can make magic more perfect." Peter's cheeks were slightly red, but when he talked about professional knowledge, the confidence in his eyes couldn't be hidden. "I can help you modify it. With the circuit board I brought, we can even add a remote control switch, so you can float whenever you want." "Really?" Ted excitedly patted Peter's shoulder, almost knocking him over. "That's great. From now on, we're magic partners. You handle the tech, I handle the performance, and we're sure to be a hit." Lin Mo smiled and shook his head, turning to repair the shield decommission server. Peter's voice came from behind him, with a hint of unsuppressed excitement, discussing magic prop improvements with Ted, occasionally interspersed with arguments about physical principles, like a wonderful duet. The afternoon sun streamed through the repair shop's glass window, casting mottled shadows on the floor. Lin Mo sat at the workbench, listening to the laughter behind him, the screwdriver in his hand, guided by his phasing ability, precisely unscrewing the screws on the server. He knew that the peaceful days wouldn't last long. The Hulk's roar, alien invasions, the war in Asgard, all awaited them in the near future. But at least for now, Peter was still just a teenager who loved to climb rooftops and watch the stars. Ted was still dreaming of Las Vegas magic, Aunt May's cookies were still steaming, and the summer in Queens still carried a sweet, humid heat. Lin Mo picked up a chip from the server, engraved with the shield logo. He looked at the complex patterns on the chip and suddenly felt that perhaps the story of a superhero never began with a leap from a tall building, but with a seed quietly planted on a stuffy afternoon in a repair shop, in a teenager discussing magic props with a friend. In the evening, Aunt May came to call them home for dinner. Seeing Peter and Ted squatting on the ground, tinkering with the magic box, she smiled and shook her head. "Two big kids, they get along quite well." She handed Lin Mo a bottle of iced cola. "Peter is usually quiet, but he can talk to you guys who understand technology. He's very smart, Lin Mo twisted open the cola, and the cold liquid slid down his throat. Much smarter than I was at his age. He's smart, but he's too honest and often gets bullied by classmates. Aunt May sighed. Last time at Midtown High School, someone snatched his lab report, and he didn't even dare to tell the teacher. Lin Mo, please look out for him, don't let him be wronged here. Lin Mo nodded, his gaze falling on Peter. The teenager was intently wrapping wires around the magnet, his fingers more nimble than a high schooler's, a slight smile on his face. He knew that before long, this honest teenager would become brave, strong, and would protect this world in his own way. And what he could do was to let him enjoy a few more days of carefree summer vacation before then. During dinner, Peter talked enthusiastically about his scientific experiments. Aunt May nodded frequently, and Ted occasionally interjected, saying he wanted to use Peter's inventions in his magic. Lin Mo looked at the scene before him and suddenly felt very content. This was probably the meaning of his transmigration to this world, not to save the world, but to protect these ordinary and warm moments. After dinner, Peter volunteered to wash the dishes, a bit clumsily, breaking a plate, his face instantly turning red. Aunt May smiled and said it was fine, telling him to go watch TV in the living room. But Peter insisted on cleaning up, squatting on the ground to pick up the shards. His finger was slightly cut, but he only frowned and continued picking. Lin Mo looked at his back, thinking of the future Spider-Man, who would get up and continue fighting even when bruised all over, and a warm current suddenly surged in his heart. He walked over and used his phasing ability to help Peter pick up the last shard. Be careful, don't cut your hand. Thank you, Mo-Jay. Peter looked up, his eyes sparkling. Can I ask you something? Go ahead. Can you really phase through walls? Peter's voice was very low, his eyes glinting with curiosity. Ted told me. He said you do magic and can go through walls. Lin Mo was stunned for a moment, then smiled. What do you think? Peter lowered his head, drawing circles on his pants with his finger. I think it's real. He looked up, his gaze unusually serious. It's like some abilities already exist, they just haven't been discovered yet. Lin Mo's heart skipped a beat. He looked at Peter's clear eyes behind his glasses and suddenly understood. Some seeds don't need deliberate watering, they will sprout on their own. He patted Peter's shoulder. Don't overthink it, enjoy your summer vacation. If you want to learn to fix computers, or want to modify magic props, come find me anytime. Peter nodded vigorously, a brilliant smile on his face, as if he had finally solved a difficult problem. Late at night, Lin Mo walked home, the moonlight casting a long shadow. He thought of Peter's Spider-Man laundry bag, his homemade wristband, and the light in his eyes when he talked about science. The wristband suddenly lit up, displaying a line of light blue text. Detected potential ally energy signature, 60% compatibility with host. Lin Mo smiled. It seemed the story of Queens had just begun. And this summer was destined to be different because of a certain bespectacled teenager. Queens in July was like a giant steamer, the asphalt softened by the sun, and the air carried a strange mixture of tar and ice cream. Lin Mo was riding Carlos's old, discarded bicycle, a newly repaired radio in its basket, heading towards old lady Eileen's house. The bicycle bell jingled, startling the sparrows perched on the fire hydrant. Passing the community park, he saw a familiar figure, Grandma Gretchen sitting on a bench, clutching a prescription, her brows furrowed like a wrung-out dishcloth. The old lady was 79 this year, her legs and feet not nimble, requiring 2 canes to walk. Lin Mo had carried her down from the 2nd floor during the last fire, and since then, she always called him, a good child sent by Buddha, whenever she saw him. Grandma Gretchen, why are you sitting here on such a hot day? Lin Mo braked his bike and took out a bottle of iced lemonade from his basket. Aunt May had given it to him that morning. Have some water. The old lady looked up, her cloudy eyes brightening. She took the cup but didn't drink, instead handing him the prescription. Shaolin, can you help Grandma see? The people at this pharmacy said home delivery would take 2 hours, but my blood pressure medicine is finished, I can't wait. Lin Mo took the prescription. It had the address of the community pharmacy, 3 streets away. You wait here, I'll go get it for you. He took the radio out of the basket. This is your radio, it's fixed, you can listen to storytelling. Oh, you're too much trouble, Grandma Gretchen quickly waved her hand. It's so hot, I'll just slowly make my way over myself. It's fine, I'm very fast. Lin Mo smiled, placed the radio on the bench, and pedaled towards the pharmacy. Physical enhancement made his legs like motors, the wheels spinning rapidly. As he passed an ice cream truck, the owner called out with a smile, "Xiao Lin, want an ice cream cone?" "It's on me." "Next time," Lin Mo shouted back without looking, the wind whistling in his ears, dynamic vision allowing him to easily avoid children and stray cats on the sidewalk. A walk that normally took 15 minutes, he covered by bike in 3 minutes. The pharmacy was crowded, the air conditioning was broken, and everyone was sweating as they queued. Lin Mo walked to the pickup window, gave Grandma Gretchen's name, and the pharmacist slowly searched for the medicine, complaining, "This weather, the air conditioning has been broken for 3 days and still isn't fixed. Can you speed it up? The old lady is waiting for her blood pressure medicine," Lin Mo said patiently, tapping his fingers lightly on the counter. "What's the rush? Everyone's waiting." The pharmacist rolled her eyes, then slowly pulled out a medicine box and typed on the computer. Lin Mo's brows furrowed. If he waited any longer, Grandma Gretchen would get anxious. He looked around. Everyone was busy with their phones, no one paying attention to him. Quietly activating his phasing ability, his arm passed through the counter, precisely grabbing the medicine box, and withdrawing his hand before the pharmacist looked up, the movement so fast it seemed like an illusion. "Is the medicine all here?" He placed the money on the counter, and without waiting for the pharmacist's reaction, turned and ran. Behind him, he heard the pharmacist's exclamation, "Hey, where's my medicine?" On his return bike ride, Lin Mo didn't take the main road but turned into an alley. He jumped off the bike, holding the medicine box, activated phasing ability, passed through a brick wall, and landed in Grandma Gretchen's backyard. He then phased through the kitchen wall, standing directly in the living room. The old lady was pacing around the room with her canes, muttering, "Why isn't he back yet?" "Grandma, the medicine is here." Lin Mo handed over the medicine. Grandma Gretchen was startled, her cane clattering to the ground. "Xiao Lin. Where did you pop out from?" She looked at the closed doors and windows, then at the medicine in Lin Mo's hand, her eyes wide. "You child, can you phasing through walls? You're seeing things." Lin Mo smiled as he picked up the cane. "I came in through the back door, it wasn't locked." He helped the old lady pour a cup of warm water and watched her take the medicine. "From now on, if you need medicine, just tell me, no need to wait for delivery." "Good, good, good." The old lady held his hand, her wrinkled palm warm. "Even faster than delivery. I'll rely on you from now on, good child." She took out a bag of fruit candy from a drawer and insisted on putting it in Lin Mo's pocket. "Take it, eat it on the way." Leaving Grandma Gretchen's house, Lin Mo checked his watch. From picking up the medicine to delivering it, it took a total of 5 minutes. He suddenly felt that his physical enhancement combined with phasing ability was practically tailor-made for delivering things. No detours, no waiting for elevators, and even traffic jams had nothing to do with him. This discovery excited him. Back at the repair shop, he hung a sign at the entrance. "Volunteer errands, medicine pickup, document delivery, shopping community only," with a simple stick figure drawing of someone phasing through a wall below it. Ted saw the sign and laughed so hard he couldn't stand straight. "Mo, are you going to be a super delivery man? Do you want me to design a uniform for you? Red and blue, like Spider-Man." "Get lost." Lin Mo laughed and kicked him. "Be serious, someone really needs help." No sooner had he spoken than a young mother rushed over, holding a crying child. "Xiao Lin, can you help me pick up my son's homework book from school? He has to turn it in this afternoon, and I really can't leave." "Address." Lin Mo picked up a pen and wrote it in his notebook. "Midtown Elementary, Grade 3, Class 2, it's in the podium drawer." The young mother handed him $5. "For the errand." "No money." Lin Mo pushed the money back, pedaled his bike, and left. This time he didn't wear a uniform. He simply used his physical enhancement speed to run to the school, then used his phasing ability to pass through the locked school building door, and retrieved the homework book in 3 minutes. The young mother stared at the homework book in his hand, her eyes wide. "My goodness, you're faster than a taxi." She insisted on giving Lin Mo some homemade cookies. "You must take them, otherwise I'll feel bad." News spread like wildfire, quickly reaching the entire community. More and more people came to Lin Mo for errands. Office workers who forgot their keys asked him to pass them through windows. An uncle who ran a grocery store asked him to deliver an urgent order. even the community library administrator came to him, saying a valuable old book was locked in the warehouse and the key was lost. Lin Mo accepted all requests. After all, the repair shop was often not busy. He found that using his abilities to run errands for people brought more satisfaction than simply repairing computers. Seeing the smiles on people's faces when they received their items made him happier than fixing a server. Peter had nothing to do during the summer and often came to help at the repair shop. Seeing Lin Mo phasing through walls to deliver documents one moment and sprinting to fetch cakes the next, his eyes lit up like light bulbs. Mo Jie, your efficiency is too high. Let me design a route map for you, using an algorithm to find the shortest path and avoid crowded areas. Sure, Lin Mo agreed with a smile. 2 days later, Peter brought a hand-drawn community map, with optimal routes marked in different colors, even indicating which sections of walls were easiest to phasing through, and a drawing of a uniformed figure next to it, with the words, Wall Phasing Express, printed on its chest. Too professional. Ted snatched the map, exclaiming in wonder. Mo, why don't we just open a delivery company? Call it, Lightning Wall Phasing Express, it's sure to be a hit. What company? Lin Mo pasted the map on the wall. Volunteering is good. The most outrageous time was helping old lady Martha deliver a cake to her sister who lived across the street. The old lady baked a 3-layer chocolate cake for her sister's birthday, but it was too hot, and she was afraid it would melt on the way. Can you? Martha rubbed her hands, a little embarrassed, just phasing through the wall to deliver it. No need to walk on the road, to avoid the sun. No problem. Lin Mo carefully picked up the cake box, activated phasing ability, passed through Martha's wall, then through the alley in between, and finally through the kitchen wall of Martha's sister's house, landing directly in front of the dining table. Martha's sister was chopping vegetables and almost dropped her cleaver when she saw Lin Mo and the cake suddenly appear. Sister Martha asked me to deliver it. Lin Mo placed the cake on the table. The cake was perfectly intact, not even the cream decorations had sagged. Oh my goodness. Martha's sister patted her chest. Shaolin, your skill is much better than any delivery service. Sit down and have a glass of iced tea, I just brewed it. Lin Mo politely declined and phased back to Martha's house. The old lady was standing by the window, looking out. Seeing him return, she smiled and said, I knew you could do it. She took out a plate of cookies from the oven. Your reward, they're better than Aunt May's. No way. Lin Mo picked up a piece and put it in his mouth. It was perfectly sweet, and his heart felt warm. Days passed, and Lin Mo's reputation as the volunteer delivery man grew louder and louder. Someone gave him a banner with, phasing through walls to bring warmth, volunteer pioneer, written on it. Someone knitted him a sweater, saying it was for wearing when running errands. It's warm. Even the community police chief came to him, saying there was an urgent document to be delivered to the next block and asking if he could help. Chief, doesn't this count as abusing superpowers? Lin Mo asked jokingly. It's a community service. The chief patted his shoulder. You've saved us a lot of trouble. Next time we catch a thief, I'll treat you to donuts. Lin Mo agreed with a smile. He found that he increasingly liked this feeling, using his abilities to do small things within his power, without facing SHIELD surveillance, without considering the threat of aliens, just needing to shuttle between the walls of the community, delivering warmth and convenience to those in need. That evening, after Lin Mo had finished delivering dinner to Grandma Gretchen, the old lady's daughter was busy and asked him to bring it from a restaurant and was about to return to the repair shop. He was cornered by Ted and Peter in the alley. Ted held a vest printed with Lightning Wall Phasing Express, and Peter held a homemade helmet with a Spider-Man sticker on it. Try it on. Ted slipped the vest onto him. I made this from old curtains, it's breathable. Peter handed over the helmet. This can protect your head. What if you hit something when phasing through walls? Lin Mo looked at their excited faces, his heart warmed, and he obediently put on the vest and helmet. Ted took out his phone, insisting on taking a picture of him. Send it to the community group, let everyone see our super delivery man. Not long after the photo was sent, Lin Mo's phone kept ringing, all likes and teasing from community residents. Aunt May said, the vest color is too ugly, I'll knit you a new one tomorrow. Carlos said, don't delay computer repairs, or your salary will be deducted, and Grandma Gretchen sent a red envelope with the message, buy popsicles to eat. Lin Mo smiled and returned the red envelope, looking up at the evening glow in the sky. The sunset dyed the clouds golden red, like Martha's burnt cookies. He suddenly felt that perhaps his abilities should never have been used for fighting and killing from the beginning, being a community delivery man, like this, using phasing to pass through walls, using physical enhancement to run through streets and alleys, delivering warmth and convenience to every corner, was the most meaningful thing. Ted was still excitedly planning the business scope expansion plan, and Peter was taking notes on optimization schemes in his notebook. Lin Mo looked at them, then at the vest and helmet he was wearing, and suddenly smiled. Perhaps, superheroes don't necessarily have to swing between tall buildings or fight aliens. Sometimes, being able to help an old lady deliver medicine, help a young mother retrieve homework, or help an old lady deliver a cake, was already enough. He patted Ted and Peter on the shoulders. Come on, let's go to Aunt May's for dinner. I'm treating tonight, using the errand fees everyone gave me. All right, the two shouted in unison, following Lin Mo towards Aunt May's house. The sunset stretched their shadows long, like three supermen walking side by side, and although they had no capes, they carried a light warmer than any cape. The old TV in the repair shop suddenly let out a piercing electrical crackle, and the soap opera on the screen twisted into a mess of colorful static. Carlos, who was holding a capacitor with tweezers, jumped in fright, and the tweezers clattered onto the circuit board. What's wrong with this broken TV now? Lin Mo had just returned from delivering blood pressure medication to Grandma Gretchen, with a thin layer of sweat still on his forehead. He picked up the remote control and pressed a few buttons. The screen suddenly displayed a red emergency news banner, and a presenter in a suit and tie appeared on screen, his face pale, with a background of towering flames and collapsing buildings. Emergency broadcast. An unidentified green giant has appeared in Midtown Manhattan and is engaged in a fierce conflict with the military. Repeat, a green giant. Crack. The potato chip bag in Ted's hand was crushed out of shape, scattering orange crumbs all over the floor. He lunged to the window, yanking down the dust-covered blinds. The metal slats clattered loudly. It's that big green guy. The one the newspaper talked about. The monster that can smash a building with one punch. Lin Mo's gaze was fixed on the screen. In the picture, a giant green figure was rampaging through the streets. Military tanks were tossed around like toys in front of him, and helicopter searchlights swept across his bulging muscles. Each step made the ground shake violently, even causing the TV signal to flicker. Hulk. Peter's voice held an almost imperceptible tremor. He had just returned from school and, without even putting down his backpack, rushed to the TV, not bothering to push up his glasses that had slid to the tip of his nose. An energy being created by biological mutation, theoretically capable of infinitely proliferating muscle fibers. Speak in plain English. Ted crouched on the floor, clutching his head like a startled ostrich. Is he strong? Will he come to Queens? Theoretically, he shouldn't stray from the center of the conflict, but... Peter pushed up his glasses, his voice dropping. His energy readings are too unstable, he might lose control. Lin Mo's fingers unconsciously rubbed his wristband. The synchronization rate of physical enhancement had already risen to 60%, dynamic vision could track the trajectory of a fly's wings 100 meters away, and phasing ability could even easily pass through 3 brick walls. But watching the scene on screen where Hulk flattened a tank turret with a single punch, he clearly felt a chill run down his spine. That wasn't ordinary destructive power, it was a terrifying force that could easily tear through reinforced concrete. His abilities, in front of a monster of that caliber, were probably no different from paper. Close the shop. Close it now. Ted suddenly jumped up, pulling down the rope of the rolling shutter. The metal door scraped against the tracks with a piercing screech. Nail all the windows shut. My cousin said this monster is afraid of noise, so the quieter we are, the better. Your cousin also said the tigers in Las Vegas could jump through hoops of fire last time. Carlos said grumpily, but still got up to move a toolbox to prop against the door. Lin Mo, move that shield server to the corner, so it doesn't get damaged by stray bullets. Lin Mo nodded, bending down to hug the server. This thing weighed over 200 pounds. It used to take 2 people to lift it, but now he could easily pick it up with one hand. The cool sensation on his fingertips calmed him down slightly. Peter, call Aunt May and tell her not to go out. Already called. Peter held up his phone, the screen showing his call with Aunt May. She said Grandma Martha is at her place, moving the pickled cucumber jars to the underground room. The conflict on TV was still escalating. Hulk grabbed a bus as a weapon, sweeping it across the entire street, and fragments of glass curtain walls rained down like a storm. The presenter's voice was tearful. The military has requested reinforcements. Iron Man Tony Stark is rushing to the scene. Iron Man. Ted poked his head through a gap in the rolling shutter, his eyes lighting up. Can he beat that big green guy? I bet $100 Iron Man wins. Don't bet. Lin Mo put the server down and walked to the window, opening a crack to look outside. The streets of Queens were already in chaos. Cars were jammed in long lines, police sirens wailed from all directions, and several neighbors in pajamas were running to the underground room with cardboard boxes, muttering, "It's the end of the world." Suddenly, there was a violent tremor from the ground, like a heavy truck rolling over. The light bulb in the repair shop swayed, and the TV signal completely cut out, the screen turning pitch black. Peter's phone clattered to the ground, its signal bars empty. What's going on? Ted, scared, ducked under the table. He's coming. Lin Mo's dynamic vision instantly activated, his pupils contracting to pinprick size. He could clearly see the source of the tremor. It wasn't Hulk, but an explosion impact from a distance, about 5 kilometers away in the direction of Brooklyn. But this force was already enough to make the old apartment building groan, and the cracks on the wall widened a bit more. It's an impact. Lin Mo released the curtain. It's still far from here, but it's best to stay in the underground room. Carlos had already opened the trapdoor leading to the underground room, the rusty iron ladder gleaming coldly in the dim light. Bring the toolbox, it has flashlights and compressed biscuits. The old man's voice was tight, but his hands were steady as he wrapped a coil of wire around his waist. If the power goes out, we'll rely on this for emergency lights. Upon descending into the underground room, a damp, musty smell assailed them. Ted held a spare tire as a shield, while Peter opened his laptop, the screen displaying real-time news grabbed from the internet. The latest item, posted 3 minutes ago, read, Hulk breaks through military defenses, moving towards Brooklyn. He's coming this way. Ted's voice trembled, his teeth chattering. I knew it. Monsters love Queen's Pizza. Don't talk nonsense. Lin Mo rummaged through the toolbox for a flashlight, pressed the switch, and a beam of light pierced the darkness. Brooklyn is still some distance from here. Iron Man should be able to stop him. Despite his words, his fingers unconsciously pressed on his wristband, phasing ability ready at any moment. Peter suddenly pointed at the computer screen. Look at this. Someone captured Hulk's energy analysis. His gamma-ray radiation intensity is 10,000 times the normal value. The boy's eyes held both fear and uncontrollable curiosity. This kind of radiation can cause irreversible mutations in biological cells. Get to the point. Ted snatched the flashlight, the beam swinging back and forth on the ceiling. Will it turn people green? I don't want to become a monster. Theoretically, no, short-term contact would only cause burns. Peter pushed up his glasses, then suddenly remembered something. Mojay, can your phasing ability block radiation? Lin Mo was stunned for a moment. He had never actually tried. The last time he touched an energy-containing stone in New Mexico, his wristband only indicated a repulsive reaction, not mentioning radiation. I don't know, I hope we don't need to. Suddenly, there was a pounding on the underground room entrance, accompanied by Grandma Martha's loud voice, Carlos. Open the door. I brought all of Aunt May's pickled cucumbers down. Ted was so scared he almost threw the tire. Lin Mo quickly climbed up and opened the trapdoor. Grandma Martha was carrying a huge glass jar, with Aunt May following behind her, holding a screaming snowball in her arms. Come down quickly. It's shaking up here like an earthquake. Martha placed the jar on the ground, the glass clinking crisply. My husband used to be in the military. He said when this happens, you have to go underground. Aunt May's face was a bit pale, but she still opened the cloth bag in her hand, revealing bread and canned goods inside. Eat sparingly, we don't know how long we'll have to stay. She patted Peter's head. You weren't scared, were you? Don't be afraid, Lin Mo is here. Lin Mo's heart sank. Even the usually calm Aunt May was flustered, which showed how serious the situation was. He leaned against the damp wall, his wristband suddenly feeling warm. The screen lit up. High-intensity gamma-ray fluctuations detected. Distance: 4.7 kilometers. Recommendation: maintain concealment, avoid direct contact. 4.7 kilometers, and rapidly decreasing. An eerie silence fell over the underground room, broken only by snowballs purring and Ted's nervous swallowing. Grandma Martha distributed pickled cucumbers to everyone, The cold, sour, and salty taste spread in their mouths, but it couldn't suppress the growing fear. Suddenly, a piercing metallic tearing sound came from above, as if something heavy had smashed onto the repair shop's roof. Dust sifted down, and red light seeped through the cracks of the trapdoor, accompanied by a distant roar, not an explosion, but the growl of some creature, deep and furious, making their eardrums ache. He's in Brooklyn. Peter's computer screen lit up, displaying a video. In the footage, Hulk stood on the Brooklyn Bridge, smashing a steel cable with one punch, causing the bridge to shake violently like a dying python. Ted's hands, clutching the tire, trembled violently. It's over, Queens is next. Shut up. Lin Mo suddenly spoke, his voice deeper than usual. Think of a solution. He looked at Carlos. Is your old generator still working? If the power is out for too long, the medicine in the refrigerator will spoil. Carlos paused, then nodded. It's in the warehouse, I'll have to go get it. I'll go. Lin Mo stood up, brushing dust from his clothes. You all stay here. No, Aunt May grabbed him. It's too dangerous up there. Don't worry, I have a way. Lin Mo smiled, activating his phasing ability, his arm easily passing through the cement wall of the underground room. I can phase through walls, I won't be discovered. He looked at Peter. Where in the warehouse is the generator? Peter immediately gave the coordinates and even drew a simple map. Be careful of the shelves, there are gasoline drums stacked on them. Lin Mo took the map, taking a deep breath. He knew it was risky. Hulk's radiation and impact could be fatal, but Grandma Gretchen's blood pressure medication was still in the refrigerator, and the community hospital's vaccines needed refrigeration. He couldn't hide. Activating physical enhancement, Lin Mo darted out of the trapdoor like an agile cat. Sure enough, there was a large hole in the repair shop's roof, and sunlight streamed through the opening, casting skewed light spots on the ground. The distant sky was stained orange by thick smoke, and he could vaguely see Iron Man's golden armor weaving through the clouds, like an angry bumblebee. He dared not delay, moving quickly along the wall. Phasing ability allowed him to easily pass through the locked warehouse door. The generator was in the corner, covered with a tarpaulin and thick with dust. Lin Mo bent down, grabbed the generator's handle with one hand, and suddenly felt a stronger tremor from the ground. This time it wasn't an impact, but Hulk's footsteps, just 3 kilometers away. Lin Mo gritted his teeth, pushing physical enhancement to its limit. The generator felt light as a toy in his hand. He turned and ran back, dynamic vision helping him avoid falling billboards and panicked crowds. As he passed the community park, he saw several children trapped on a precarious slide. A large tree nearby had been snapped in half by the impact, its trunk falling towards the slide. Hold on tight, Lin Mo shouted, phasing through the slide's metal frame, picking up the children one by one, moving as fast as a gust of wind. Thank you, Uncle. The youngest child, still holding a half-melted ice cream, had bright eyes. You run faster than Spider-Man. Lin Mo smiled, delivered them to a safe underground room, then turned to continue running back to the repair shop. The weight of the generator made his arm ache a little, but he dared not slow down. The distance on his wristband had already become 2.8 kilometers, and the intensity of the gamma rays made the screen's edge glow red. Just as he turned into the street where the repair shop was located, Lin Mo saw a green figure flash across the sky, crashing heavily into a nearby parking lot. The concrete ground instantly cracked, and cars were flung into the air like toys. It was Hulk. He had actually passed through Queens. Lin Mo subconsciously activated his phasing ability, his entire body merging into the shadows of the wall. He saw Hulk rise from the rubble, a steel rebar embedded in his chest, which he casually ripped out as if unharmed, letting out a deafening roar. Iron Man's armor followed closely, a blue beam from his palm repulsor striking Hulk's back, erupting in a dazzling shower of sparks. Run! Lin Mo heard Peter's voice behind him. The boy had followed him out at some point, holding a homemade smoke bomb. I'll distract them. Don't be foolish. Lin Mo grabbed him, shoving the generator into his arms. Take it back to Carlos, quick. He pushed Peter away and ran in the opposite direction. He needed to lure Hulk away from the community center. Physical enhancement made him run faster than a car, the wind whistling in his ears. Dynamic vision captured Hulk, indeed attracted, chasing after him with huge strides. Lin Mo's heart was in his throat. He knew he couldn't outrun Hulk, he could only rely on phasing to maneuver. Seeing an abandoned apartment building ahead, Lin-Mo suddenly changed direction, activated his phasing ability, and rushed into the building, phasing rapidly through the walls. Hulk's giant fist smashed into the building, causing the entire structure to shake, bricks and stones raining down like a storm. Inside the wall, Lin-Mo could clearly feel that wild power, as if it wanted to tear the entire world apart. Over here, he phased out of a second-floor window, waved at Hulk, then turned and rushed into another building. He moved like an agile loach, weaving between buildings, using his phasing ability to avoid all attacks, while simultaneously luring Hulk towards the open dock area. Just as he was about to exhaust his strength, the roar of an engine came from the sky. Iron Man's armor emitted a dazzling light, firmly embracing Hulk and pushing him into a giant energy shield. "Hold tight, big guy." Tony Stark's voice came through the loudspeaker, with a hint of playfulness. "Time to send you home." The energy shield emitted a blinding white light, enveloping Hulk, then slowly ascended, disappearing into the clouds. Lin-Mo collapsed onto the ground, gasping for breath, every muscle in his body screaming. The wristband's alarm finally disarmed. The screen displayed gamma ray intensity returned to normal, but the synchronization rate had inexplicably increased by 5%, becoming 65%. "Are you okay?" Peter ran over, still holding the smoke bomb, his face smudged with dirt. Aunt May was so worried. Lin-Mo shook his head, looking at the gradually dispersing smoke in the distance, and suddenly smiled. He had actually dared to stroll in front of Hulk just now. Thinking about it now made him feel a shiver of fear. But seeing that the community's roofs were still intact and hearing the laughter of children in the distance, he felt it was all worth it. Back at the repair shop, Ted hugged him and cried for a long time, saying he thought he would never see him again. Grandma Martha shoved the last pickled cucumber into his hand, Aunt May wiped his face with a hot towel, and Carlos silently fixed the generator that had been damaged by the tremor. The TV signal returned, and the news was showing footage of Hulk being taken away, the presenter excitedly announcing, "Crisis averted." Ted suddenly remembered something, slapping his thigh. "I won the bet. Iron Man really won." Everyone laughed, their laughter echoing in the small underground room, dispelling fear and unease. Lin-Mo leaned against the wall, munching on Grandma Martha's pickled cucumber, watching everything before him. He knew that Hulk's passing through was just the beginning. Even more terrifying threats would come in the future. The living room of Aunt May's house was filled with the aroma of freshly baked butter cookies, and sunlight streamed through the lace curtains, casting dappled light on a math textbook. Lin-Mo circled the third error in Peter's exercise book with a red pen, the tip leaving a faint scratch on the page. "The quadratic function expansion here is wrong, the sign is reversed." Peter's ear tips were slightly red, and his fingers unconsciously fiddled with the calculator buttons, a string of jumbled numbers appearing on the screen. His gaze passed over Lin-Mo's shoulder and landed on the power lines outside the window. Two sparrows were chirping and fighting, their gray feathers ruffled by the wind, like a bouncing ball of yarn. "Oh," the boy mumbled in response, his pen drawing a wobbly spider on a scrap piece of paper. "Peter." Lin-Mo tapped the table, his dynamic vision catching the boy's Adam's apple bobbing. "This is the 5th time you've zoned out today. Aunt May said you only got 62 on your last math monthly exam. If this continues, you won't even finish your summer homework." "No, it's not." Peter suddenly snapped back to attention, his glasses slipping to the tip of his nose. He hastily pushed them up. "I'm just thinking about a problem." He pulled the scrap paper back, trying to cover the spider drawing, but accidentally knocked over the nearby milk cup, and the light brown liquid spread across the exercise book like an ugly cloud. "Be careful." Lin-Mo pulled out a tissue to help him wipe it, the soaked part of the page becoming transparent, faintly revealing spider silk strength calculation formula written underneath. He suppressed a smile, his fingertips touching Peter's hot earlobe. "What problem are you thinking about? More important than quadratic functions?" The boy's cheeks instantly flushed crimson, like sun-ripened tomatoes. He clenched his pencil, his knuckles white, and after a long while, he mumbled like a mosquito, "I'm thinking, why can spiders climb on walls? What's so special about their feet?" Lin-Mo's heart skipped a beat. "It's here." He pretended to tidy up the textbooks, the corner of his eye catching the metallic edge peeking out of Peter's school uniform pocket. It was a simple device made of paperclips and rubber bands, with some silvery sticky substance on it, remarkably similar to Spider-Man's web shooter. This problem, he slowly opened a science textbook, stopping exactly on the surface tension, Paige, solve this problem first, and I'll tell you a secret. Really? Peter's eyes instantly lit up, like tiny light bulbs, his pupils behind the lenses widening slightly. He immediately sat up straight, grabbed the exercise book, and his pencil moved quickly across the scrap paper, muttering to himself, let X be the unknown, substitute into the formula, no, I should use the completing the square method. Aunt May's laughter came from the kitchen, accompanied by the crisp sound of dishes clinking. Lynn, don't be too strict. Let him have a cookie before studying. A tray was placed on the coffee table, and the aroma of butter cookies grew stronger, still emitting faint wisps of heat. Aunt May walked over, wiping her hands, and seeing Peter writing furiously, she covered her mouth in surprise. Has the sun risen from the west? Our Peter is actually doing problems on his own initiative. He's waiting for me to tell him a secret. Lin Mo picked up a cookie and held it to Peter's mouth. The boy subconsciously bit into it, his eyes still on the scrap paper, cookie crumbs clinging to the corner of his mouth like a tiny white ant. What secret is so effective? Aunt May sat down with a smile, pouring them glasses of milk. If it can make this child love math, I'll give you my ancestral baking pan. Her gaze fell on Peter's scrap paper, and when she saw the spider drawing, she shook her head helplessly. This child, he's been fascinated by insects since he was little. Last time he even put locusts in my flour jar, making me remake the cake 3 times. Peter's pen paused, and his ears turned even redder. He sped up, finishing the last step, and pushed the exercise book in front of Lin Mo, tiny beads of sweat on the tip of his nose. Finished. See if it's right. Lin Mo carefully checked the steps, his fingertips tracing the neat calculations. This child was indeed smart, just not focused on the right path. His problem-solving approach was even more concise than the standard answer, but he made a decimal point error in the last step. Not bad, he circled the error with a red pen. Besides this small mistake, everything else is correct. Peter immediately corrected it, then stared at Lin Mo expectantly, like a puppy waiting to be fed. Aunt May watched from the side, amused, and returned to the kitchen with the tray, winking at Lin Mo before she left, meaning, it's up to you. Only the rustling sound of a pen scratching paper remained in the living room. Lin Mo pulled out a copy of The Insect Book from the bookshelf, turned to the chapter on spiders, and pointed at the illustration, saying, the secret is this: spiders' feet have thousands of bristles, and each bristle is divided into hundreds of finer branches. These branches can generate van der Waals forces with the molecules on the wall surface, acting like countless miniature suction cups, allowing them to crawl on smooth surfaces. Van der Waals forces. Peter's eyes widened. He grabbed the book and examined it carefully, his fingers gently tracing the illustration. So, it's intermolecular forces. Then if we could imitate this structure, could people also climb walls? Theoretically, yes. Lin Mo looked at his bright eyes, thinking of the red and blue figure swinging between tall buildings in the future. But human weight is too great, requiring very strong adhesion, and safety must also be considered. He picked up Peter's scrap paper, pointing to the sketch of the web shooter. Your design idea is good, but the spider silk's toughness needs to reach at least 800 megapascals, ordinary materials can't do that. Peter's mouth formed an O shape, as if paused. He looked at Lin Mo, then at the scrap paper, and suddenly covered his pocket, shrinking back, as if his secret had been exposed. I just drew it casually. The boy stammered, his cheeks so red they could drip blood. Drawing casually, is this professional? Lin Mo deliberately teased him, picking up a pencil and drawing an improved design next to the sketch. Add a pneumatic device here to make the spider silk shoot farther, and this switch, magnetic control, is more sensitive than a mechanical button. Peter held his breath, his eyes glued to the drawing, not even noticing his glasses slipping down. He suddenly grabbed Lin Mo's wrist, with surprising strength. How do you know this? Are you also? I've repaired similar mechanical devices. Lin Mo calmly pulled his hand back, picked up a cookie, and put it in his mouth. SHIELD's discarded equipment has similar designs, the principles are roughly the same. This excuse was flawless. He had indeed repaired shield parts, he just hadn't told Peter that those parts were actually used to make weapons. The boy nodded, half understanding, chewing the cookie slowly, but his eyes darted around quickly, clearly processing the information. The sparrows outside the window flew away, leaving the empty power line swaying in the wind, like taut chin strings. Another problem. Lin Mo opened the exercise book, this time choosing a geometry-proof problem involving the principle of triangle stability, which had a similar structure to a spider's web. Peter didn't zone out like before. Although he occasionally stared out the window in a daze, he could always quickly pull his attention back. His pencil danced on the paper, drawing auxiliary lines quickly and accurately. Sometimes he would suddenly stop, muttering, "No, it should be fixed crisscross like a spider's web," then erase and redraw. Lin Mo sat beside him, quietly watching him. The sun shone on the boy's focused profile, his eyelashes casting faint shadows behind his glasses, and the sweat beads on the tip of his nose refracted tiny specks of light. This was the future Spider-Man, at this moment still just a high school student troubled by geometry problems, his eyes sparkling with curiosity about the world, not the resolve to face alien invaders. Done. Peter threw down his pen, letting out a long sigh of relief. The proof process in the exercise book was clear and neat, with 2 more solutions than the standard answer. Mojay, look at this. He suddenly pulled out a small box from his backpack, and when he opened it, there was a mechanical spider inside, its legs made of clock springs. I made it. It can climb on glass, but it's a bit slow. The mechanical spider moved on the coffee table, its 8 legs alternately extending and retracting, indeed firmly sticking to the smooth glass surface. Lin Mo used his phasing ability to scan its internal structure, finding a miniature magnet and several suction cups hidden inside. The design was very clever. Not bad, he praised sincerely, much better than when I was your age. Back then, I only knew how to take apart radios. Really? Peter's eyes brightened even more. Then can you help me improve it? I want it to climb faster and even walk on the ceiling. You can, but the premise is that you have to finish all your summer homework. Lin Mo closed the exercise book, pointing to the date on it. School starts in 2 weeks, you have enough problems left to write for a while. The boy's face fell, like a deflated balloon. But he quickly looked up again, with a hint of expectation in his eyes. Then, if I finish one problem, you teach me one mechanical principle. Just like before. Deal. Lin Mo extended his hand. Peter hesitated for a moment, then also extended his hand, and their palms gently clasped. The boy's palm was a little sweaty, but very strong, like holding a sprouting seed. Ted's loud voice suddenly came from the hallway, making the windows hum. Mo. Peter, come out and see my new magic. I can make a coin walk on the wall. He pushed open the door with a bang, holding a coin in his hand, rubbing it back and forth on the wall. Look, doesn't it look like a spider? Peter's eyes were instantly drawn to it, like iron filings attracted by a magnet. Lin Mo shook his head helplessly, watching the boy lean in, discussing the coin's magic with Ted, their heads close together, their fingers gesturing on the wall, the sun casting their shadows on the wall, like 2 clumsy big spiders. When Aunt May came out with fruit, this was the scene she saw. Lin Mo leaning on the sofa, flipping through a math textbook, Ted and Peter squatting on the ground, fiddling with a coin, the laughter of the 3 mixing with the cicada chirping outside the window, gently flowing in the living room. It seems I don't need to worry, she said with a smile, placing the cut watermelon on the coffee table. Someone else is better at managing this child than I am. Lin Mo picked up a piece of watermelon, looking at Peter's excited profile. The boy's fingers moved quickly on the wall, imitating the trajectory of a spider's crawl, still calculating something in his mouth, probably converting the speed ratio of the coin and the spider. He suddenly felt that perhaps the growth of a superhero doesn't require earth-shattering events. Sometimes it just needs someone willing to listen to his ideas. An afternoon spent discussing the principles of spider crawling. When the tutoring session finished in the evening, Peter folded the corners of all the problems he got right, putting them into his backpack like treasured possessions. He stopped suddenly at the door, turned, and said to Lin Mo, "Thank you, Mojay." The boy's cheeks were still a little red, but his eyes were unusually serious. "I'll finish my homework quickly, then you can't go back on your word." "No going back on my word." Lin Mo smiled and nodded, watching Peter skip down the stairs, the spider charm on his backpack swaying behind him like a tiny shadow. Aunt May handed Lin Mo a glass of iced tea with a slice of lemon. This child, he's always lacked a friend he could truly connect with since he was little. He used to hide in his room alone, taking things apart. I even worried he'd get sick from boredom. She looked at Peter and Ted playing with the mechanical spider outside the window, the smile on her lips as gentle as water. "Lin, thank you so much." "It's nothing." Lin Mo took a sip of iced tea, the sourness of the lemon mixing with the bitterness of the tea, dissolving on his tongue. He knew there wasn't much he could do. He couldn't prevent the dangers of the future, couldn't bear Peter's pain, but at least for now, he could be the one willing to listen to him talk about spiders and help him solve math problems. When he left Aunt May's house, the setting sun had dyed the sky orange-red. Peter was still studying the mechanical spider with Ted, the boy's laughter as clear as wind chimes. Lin Mo touched the fruit candy in his pocket. Grandma Gretchen had insisted on giving it to him, saying it was a reward for an excellent teacher. He suddenly remembered the spider silk strength calculation formula on Peter's scrap paper, the crude but creative sketch of the launcher, and the light twinkling in the boy's eyes. Perhaps the seed of a hero is never planted in earth-shattering moments, but rather on a sun-drenched afternoon, in a math exercise book and a few conversations about spiders quietly sprouting. Lin Mo quickened his pace toward the repair shop, already pondering what to teach Peter next. Perhaps he could go from the stability principle of triangles to the structure of spider webs, and then extend it to architectural mechanics, which would both align with his interests and help him with math. By the time the streetlights came on, he had already written a detailed plan in his notebook, with a small spider drawn next to it, crawling on geometric shapes, like a brave explorer. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe for more videos.